and welcome to another Monday edition, Monday, September 29th of 2014 edition of Truth Radio Show with Dan Bidondi on freedomizerradio.com. And we got a great show for you tonight. We got Infowars.com new star reporter Joe Rambo Biggs joining us at 8 p.m. That's 2 hours from now. So be sure to tune in to the show. Stay tuned in, I should say, because, folks, we got a great show ahead of us, and we got tons of news to report, and we're going to talk about also a little off this new subject. We're going to get into Jesus versus religion. And we're going to start changing the format of the show because we're going to go back to our roots. And basically, when I started Truth Radio here, it was, yes, we covered the news, but we also dug deep. I mean, I'm talking about deep into the rabbit hole, deeper than most shows will ever talk about, even coast to coast. And, you know, way deep into the rabbit hole. And we're going to start bringing that back, folks. And we're going to have the news, of course, and we're going to devote an hour to what we're going to talk about, such as deep depth about the Illuminati, even UFOs and aliens, if you want to talk about that. And we're going to get into deep depth about all the stuff. And it's going to be a mix of Alex Jones and Coast to Coast put together. And we're going to also have star-studded guests here. You know, we got Joe Rambo Biggs coming on. And we got Katie Kiefer, which is the author of this book here, Let Me Be Clear. And she's the author of this book, Let Me Be Clear, and it's a message to Barack Obama. And great book. We should have her on next week. I believe my producer there booked her for next week. We just had a little confusion on the dates, but she should be joining us next week. And the following week, we got Richard Wayne Garganta. He's an evolution. He exposes evolution, and he's a creationist expert. And he ranks right up there with Dr. Kent Hovind and all that. And he's going to come on, and we're going to expose the entire evolution agenda. And people say, oh, no, evolution is science. No, it's not science. It never was science. And we're going to get into all that. And who really created evolution? And we're going to dig deep into that. Who created evolution? Why they created it? I'm going to save that for next time because that's a whole story on its own. So we're going to have him in 2 weeks on October 13th, Richard Wayne Garganta. We're going to blow this wide open. We're going to bring on Dr. Eric Hovind. That's the son of Kent Hovind. We're going to try to get him on as well and get these guys both on together. That'd be great, back to back, because we got to expose this Illuminati agenda. And it's destroyed the minds of millions of people, Christians as well. And we're going to break all that down. Who created it? Everything about it. We're going to expose it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who believe in evolution, but you really need to tune into the show. Then when we have these guys on, we're going to open the phone lines up so you could ask these guys questions or even debate them. I mean, these guys love to debate people. Not that they like attacking people, no, but they like getting the truth out and love to answer your questions. And we'll have an on-air debate if anybody wants to debate these guys because evolution is a big joke. It always was and always will be. I call evolution as pollution. And not just because I believe in God, not just because I believe in creation, but real science, common sense debunks evolution. And I'll debate anybody on that myself. And I'm not even an expert in this stuff, and I'll debate anybody. And I'm not expert in anything. I never claim to be. I just like to be a jack of all trades, master of none. Basically know basics and advanced stuff about everything. And because we need to know about everything. We need to pierce into everything so we know the truth about stuff. And that's what I do. I bring on experts to back up everything I say and to elaborate of exactly what's going on, everything about it. So we're going to have also in the show here, in about an hour from now, my reporter from Utah, Midwest reporter James Stallings Jr. will be joining us live on the air to bring you the latest updates in the news and just talk about his investigations with the chemical trucks and everything else. So he's going to be joining us at the top of the hour. And folks, again, we're going to be changing the format. We're going to, yes, the news, and we're going to get deep in depth into real stuff that people don't talk about. And when you grow up, everybody tells you, you know what, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, because you're going to start a lot of trouble. Well, guess what? That's exactly what we're going to talk about here. Because if you don't know religion, you don't know politics. And if you don't know politics, you don't know religion. And again, I want to state that, the Bible, Jesus Christ, Yeshua Messiah, and God Yahweh is not religion. Religion's corrupt the Bible. And we're going to get into that when I talk about the next hour. Talk about Jesus versus religion. And it's going to be a hard impact show when you hear this, because most of you follow religion. We all been brought up into a religion, some kind of religion, all of us. And it's nothing but a tradition of man, and I'm going to break that down. And I don't mean any offense to any of you out there, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, Muslims, Catholics, whoever you are, whatever religion you are, it's not you. You need to understand that we're not calling you evil at all. And if your heart's for God, God bless you, but you really need to listen to this, because you have been massively deceived, and it's right in the Holy Bible. And we're going to break all that down. Hopefully we can get all that down in that short amount of time. That's why we're going to start devoting hours into these subjects. Stuff that the establishment don't want you to know, stuff that nobody wants to talk about. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about it. And again, we got Joe Biggs joining us in 2 hours from now. Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com. I'm a great reporter. And we're going to try to get Darren McBrain back on. He's an Infowars.com reporter as well. And go to our website, TruthRadioShow.com. We're expanding big time. We had some generous donations come in to help us with the operation here. And we encourage you, people, if you feel generous, please donate to us. And if you don't have money, again, we could always use computer, video, and audio equipment. And if you want to donate us, email us. It's on TruthRadioShow.com's website. And send us the equipment that you're not using. I mean, we're looking for TriCasters, everything from video cameras to soundboards and everything else, because we want to expand big time. And, the money doesn't go into my pockets. And I show people right, on the websites where the money goes to. I mean, such as ink and paper and gas to get out to do the reports. And we got a DVD. It's called Eugenics. It's Fluoride, the Eugenics Plot Exposed. And if you donate $25 or more, you'll get the DVD for free. And if you just want the DVD, it's against $25. I mean, it's a good documentary. It really is. It's an hour and a half, full action packed about sodium fluoride. It's got me, Alex Jones, John Baum from Infowars.com in it. A bunch of us talking about sodium fluoride. I know it sounds boring, but it's not. I mean, we lay it hardcore down. The history, the facts, everything else about sodium fluoride. And again, $25 or more donations on a secured PayPal account on TruthRadioShow.com will get you the DVD. And folks, we just need help. And we're a grassroots operation. We're looking to expand big time. We want to bring right on Freedomizer Radio, if we can, a live video streaming of the show. So you can go to freedomizerradio.com and hook up into a live video streaming, so you can see what's going on. We can present the articles to you right in the video, and it's good stuff. And right now, what we do is edit the show. When we videotape the show, we edit it, throw up the articles on the screen so you can see what we're talking about and all the facts and everything else. And we put our shows on the YouTube. And YouTube channel, we got two of them right now. We got TruthRadioShow.com and Independent Truth News Media. We have two YouTube channels because once in a while they'll hit us with a copyright strike. And we have to battle YouTube because over something stupid, so much as 5 seconds of a song that is copyrighted. But anyway, they hit you with a strike, and they block you for about a month or two from posting videos more than 15 minutes. So that's why we have to juggle the YouTube channels. And we're going to link it all to our website. We're in the midst right now of reverting our entire website, TruthRadioShow.com, to make it easier, to 10 times better than it is now. We're working on that right now. So please excuse the crudity of the website. We are working on that, and we're going to bring you a brand new website that's going to be state-of-the-art and very easy to use. All our videos and all that linked to that one website. And, it's just a lot of stuff we got going on. So, I mean, could be here for hours talking to you about what we got planned for TruthRadioShow.com. And, again, Joe Biggs joining us in 2 hours. And at the top of the hour, we got Jim Stones Jr., Utah Midwest reporter. And again, if you feel free, please donate, TruthRadioShow.com. And let's get into the news. And I just want to get into this news because there's a lot of stuff, folks. FBI is now saying that no one was killed in Sandy Hook. And you got Wolfgang Halbig, trying to say, hey, they fixed the numbers in the reports because the state police of Connecticut verified. They say, well, yeah, the people were killed in Sandy Hook. But the FBI is saying other. So somebody's lying here, and it's a big debacle, and we know that Sandy Hook was staged. I mean, come on now. The principal of Sandy Hook, she supposedly died, but yet she was one of the witnesses or such of the Boston bombing. The 3 state troopers in charge at the time, seen together in Sandy Hook, were in Kraft International uniforms at the Boston bombing. So it's bizarre, it really is. And I don't blame you if you don't believe it, because it is that far-fetched. It's like something out of a movie that you would see. And I can't blame you if you don't believe it, but you really need to actually look into the facts. And the thing is, if we're conspiracy theorists, like Wolfgang says all the time, if we're lying, okay, why won't anybody answer these questions? Instead of being called a conspiracy theorist or a lunatic or whatever, why won't they answer these questions? Just answer them. If you can answer the questions, hey, wash your hands, it's over. But if nobody has yet answered these questions about Sandy Hook. The facts. Why was Lifestar helicopters told to turn back? I mean, the whole thing stinks to high heavens, and it was nothing but a stage event to take our guns away. And if you notice, right after Sandy Hook, it led to an onslaught of gun bills here in Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts. And again, we see this all the time. We stopped 2 years in a row these tyrannical gun bills here in Rhode Island. We stopped them dead. And this year they had 7 bills, I believe it was. We shot every single one of them down. We had thousands of people assembled at the State House. We had testified in all the hearings and such. We shot all these bills down because these bills hold no validity of gun control, because gun control does not take guns out of the hands of criminals. And I know you hear this all the time, and yes, I'm a big, big supporter of the Second Amendment. And again, nobody wants to shoot people. Nobody wants people being shot. But unfortunately, criminals will always have guns. Always. No matter what kind of laws get pushed through, they will always have semi-automatics, automatics, multi-round clips. So why should we, the public, the law-abiding citizen, have to suffer and get our guns restricted and took away because of these violent people running around shooting people? And it shows you, all the stats show clearly, undisputed, undebatable, that all the stats show that no gun control works. I mean, it keeps criminals at bay, even keeps the tyrannical government at bay at that. And if everybody wants to call in and if anybody out there that believes that gun control works, I'll debate you live on the air right now. And those of you listening, if you want to call in, because it's not that I want to debate people. It's just because I want to prove to you. We got all the stats on our side. We got it all on our side. History also as well. 347-324-3704. That's right on the website there. If you want to call in, push 1, and I'll talk about that with you. Nice clean debate. And anybody that starts swearing and all that, I'm just going to hang up on you. Because you just got to make yourself look like an idiot. Now, I'm not out here to make anybody look like an idiot, but I just want to prove to you, hey, American history and facts support that the Second Amendment is very important, and it should be not touched. And I like to get these women on there from Moms Against Guns. I think that's the name of the organization. I would love to get them on, and nice, civilized talking in the debate to show these women, hey, listen, guns are not the enemy. It's people. I mean, look at all the stabbings. How come they didn't ban knives yet? Look at all the drunk drivers that kill way more than guns do. How come they don't ban the car or the alcohol? Now, if you get my point, and which is ridiculous to do, but that's the point. Why ban something it's not the gun's fault, it's the person who pulls the trigger's fault. And if they do ban guns, they're going to resort to knives. They're going to resort to all other kinds of weapons or even a vehicle. So where does it stop? You know what I mean? Just common sense that shows that, hey, gun control does not work. It does not. There's no statistics to even prove so. I mean, Illinois, again, they pride themselves on one of the strictest gun controls in the country, but yet have one of the highest crime and murder rates in the country because citizens cannot defend themselves. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record about this, but, this needs to be talked about and constantly talked about, because you had Eric Holder, who openly stated in one of his quotes that we need to brainwash, openly stated it, we need to brainwash the people that guns are bad. Just comes out, openly states that we need to brainwash the people. But yet, we're the conspiracy theorists. But it's not, we're not brainwashing nobody. We're just showing historical evidence. Quotes from the Founding Fathers, thousands of them, from the Founding Fathers to state how important the Second Amendment is. And people say, oh, no, that was written back then. It's not applied today. Yes, it does apply to today. Because we would have none of the stuff if people didn't even touch the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment preferably. None of the stuff would be going on now. And I'm sure, I bet anything that all the crime rates would be dropped if nobody ever touched the Second Amendment. Every citizen was free to carry a weapon without a permit or nothing. There would be barely any crimes right here in this country. I mean, look at the Swiss. I mean, everybody carries weapons. It's a law that you have to have a weapon, actually, in Switzerland. And yet, they have the lowest crime and murder rates in the entire world. And they don't even list the stats because there's barely any. And that's undebatable. Undebatable. And you can't challenge that. And it shows that, and all the stats, again, prove that gun control does not work. It's just ridiculous for people who really think it does, because it doesn't. And it will not, and it never will work. All it does is empower criminals and empowers globalists to, just destroy our Constitution. And I didn't even get to the news here. I mean, we're coming up to a first break, and to the news yet, and we're going to talk about the news. I mean, again, the FBI says no one was killed at Sandy Hook, but the Connecticut State Police say they were. And we go reports from Wolfgang Halbig that was interviewed by Alex Jones. And I want to try to get Wolfgang back on the show here. I tried to call him this weekend to try to get him on for today, but he is busy during the weekend. He likes to spend time with his family, which is understandable, and God bless him. And Wolfgang's a real good friend of ours now. We went with him to Connecticut, to Newtown, to testify against what's going on, these gun bills and all that. And well, the report's right on Infowars.com when I interviewed Wolfgang. And what a great man! I mean, he's a great guy, and he's suffering a lot of backfeed, a lot of repercussions he's getting right now. Just same thing with me when I exposed the Boston bombing. And that's what you get when you tell the truth. There's no glorious ending, folks. At the end it is, because God will praise you for it. But at first, when you blow the whistle, like Edward Snowden, like we did with the Boston bombing, like Wolfgang did with Sandy Hook, when you're a whistleblower, when you're a revolutionary, you get a lot of backlash. There's no glory about it. But yes, you wake up people, which is more important than our own personal needs and wants. So that's the price to pay for a whistleblower and whatnot. But you know what? If all this hell I suffered after the Boston bombing, if I knew all that hell was going to come upon me, guess what? I still would have done it, because it woke up a crap load of people. But we do got to go to a break, and we'll be right back on TruthRadioShow.com right here on FreedomizerRadio.com. And welcome back to the Truth Radio Show on FreedomizerRadio.com. And those are great commercials. And we're going to talk about vaccines, too, in the show, hopefully. We got a lot of news, and I don't think we're going to get to that. I hope we do. It's just like I start rambling off about stuff. And there's just so much information, so little time. And again, we could be here for hours a day, weeks on end, and still not bring you all the information. And yes, it might be an overload, but this information needs to be pumped out. And the reason why we try to make these shows entertaining, because just sitting here listening to article after article after article, it does become redundant and boring. But we try to spice it up a little and put our input into it, because to keep you tuned in. Because I admit, if you watch a news show, there's somebody with no interest in the article. They'll just read the article with no care in the world about it, and they don't show no interest. It's boring. It really is. And no matter what they're talking about, like the mainstream media, they'll sit there and read off the teleprompters. Oh, a car accident today. Police shot and killed the baby by accident. No care in the world. Just like a zombie face, and they probably don't even know what the hell they're reading, to tell you the truth. And they, if you hijack the teleprompter to say, hey, I'm a dweeb or something, they probably read that out and not even know what the hell they're reading. That's how much of a tools that these people are. And that's all, these mainstream media reporters. And I'm not saying all of them are bad, because I met a lot of reporters from mainstream, and some of them are good people. They become a reporter to expose the truth, and they get the stories cut all the time. Look at Amber Lyons and the other dude from, I can't remember his name, whatever, but anyway, Amber Lyons, she got her reports cut all the time, or edited, or most of them didn't even get on the air, and she wanted to report things the truth, but, of course, the network said no, because it'll go against the corporate interest people. So, it's just, but anyway, mainstream media itself is just a zombie land. It's just to program you to, hey, you know what, you got 6 flashlights, we're going to scare you to death so you go buy 6 more. That's an example of what they do. And they're biased. They're either conservative or liberal, either one. And they'll tell the truth most of it if it bashes the other side. But then they'll retract if it affects them, and it's just a debacle. That's all it is. And that's why we're independent constitutionalists. We are not, and when I say we, everybody at TruthRadioHead.com, we are not Republicans, we are not Democrats, because both parties are equally corrupt. Both parties, you got the Bushes and the Clintons, the Obamas, all of them work together. All of them. You got Obama openly stating all the time, the Bushes are his mentors. This is a president that's supposed to be against the other side, but yet openly say, these guys are my mentors of the opposite party. It's all staged. It's a big hoax. When it comes to the presidential level, it's all a giant hoax. There ain't no such thing as Republican Democrats to them. It's just pro wrestling. Hey, we're good buddies, but you're going to be the bad guy, I'm going to be the good guy. We're going to play a little story role here just to keep the people confused, so when the elections come, we keep this pendulum swinging back and forth, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. It's called the left-wing, right-wing false paradigm. To make you people believe you have a choice when you don't, because the corporate interest groups, the corporate elite, they're the ones who set up the Democratic and Republican Party, not the Founding Fathers. The Founding Fathers were constitutionalists, independents, libertarians. George Washington, in his farewell address, said, stay away from political parties. They try to warn you so many times about these corporate parties. That's exactly what they are. They're not for you. They're not for the people. These people, and I'm not saying all Democrats and Republicans are bad. They're not, because I got friends who are both running for offices for both sides. They're good people. But ultimately, in the top levels of the Republican Democratic Party, it is corrupt. That's why when you tell Ron Paul, whatever, get the hell out of the Republican Party. People say, they're using it to get into the office. No. You will never win at something that is controlled, period. If they know you're a good guy and you're not picked by the elite, guess what? I don't care how many people you got behind you, you will not win. Ron Paul, he had the world behind him. Logistically, he should have won the election. He would have won it by a landslide, but we know it was all fixed and staged to put Romney as Obama's contender there. And Romney knew day one that he was going to be the top contender, the Republican nomination, and he was going to lose to Obama. He knew that. It's all staged, and they put these two people at the top in November's finals, per se, and Obama and Romney, and they get their top picks because, God forbid, because I don't wish death upon anybody, but if something happened to Obama, they would know that Romney would be just as much of a puppet as Obama would. So it keeps that structure, that paradigm, the false left-wing, right-wing paradigm in place. That's how they work and operate. But ain't enough about that. We got FBI says no one was killed at Sandy Hook, reports Don Salazar, Infowars.com. And data from a recent FBI report shows 0 murders occurred in Newtown, Connecticut in 2012. And right on the article, you can see the statistics, which goes right to the FBI's.gov's website. Right in the statistics, it shows, I already read through the article here, and I encourage people to go to Infowars and read this article. And it shows the Aurora, Colorado, when the shooting happened at the movie theater, it shows the murders, the deaths of those people, but yet it doesn't show the deaths of the kids and whatnot in Newtown, Connecticut. So Alex Jones, he had Sandy Hook investigator on his show. We got an article on that. Sandy Hook investigator, Connecticut Police Department had FBI falsify crime statistics. And Don Salazar reports this again. Prominent school safety consultant and former Florida State Trooper Wolfgang Halbig says he's spoken with the FBI regarding the crime statistics, which show no murders occurred in Newtown in 2012. And he says, I did a response, Halbig said yesterday at the Alex Jones show. I called the New Haven FBI officers, and their responses, they've been asked by the Connecticut State Police not to put those numbers on the data sheet. And now when has the state police ever told the FBI what to do? And this is a report from Wolfgang. And we're going to try to get him on the show to talk about this. And after the police and first responders failed to show the proper emergency protocols at Sandy Hook, Halbig began looking into shooting and had discovered various anomalies which have led him to believe that the entire incident was a contrived event, a hoax. Again, all these questions that Wolfgang's presented, no one has yet been able to answer. No one. And it's bizarre, like I said. And speaking of Sandy Hook, which we're going to get into in a second, this next article about me, because this Sandy Hook Commission calls for government crackdown on homeschools, which all ties into this. And anyway, we know it was a hoax. We know there was no kids killed there. I mean, where are the records of these children? Where are the even records of them even existing in the first place? When some of the neighbors said, hey, the school's been closed down for a number of years, I don't even know what the hell they were doing even at the school. And how coincidentally, after the incident, they tore the place down right away. When Columbine happened, did they tear that school down right away? No. There was lawsuits at Columbine. All the parents sued the school. Not one parent sued the school in Sandy Hook. Not one. Yeah, it's just like so many of these questions. I mean, why did Adam Lanza choose that school? If this was legit, okay, if this was a real legit thing, why did he choose the only gun-free zone school in the state when he drove by 6 other schools? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And even if he had connections to the school, but the thing is, it's all a contrived hoax. I mean, he would have had to have 100% accuracy rating. Not even Navy SEAL Special Ops could pull off what Adam Lanza did. And a little 100-pound kid wheeling around these guns, and even they said it was assault weapons. No. The assault weapon, which is not an assault weapon, it's a defense weapon, but it was in the trunk of the car. It was not used. And then I haven't talked about the second shooter that was involved. If this whole thing was even real in the first place. And they want us to believe that he busted through the window to get into school, all right? And when he shot all these victims, he had 100% accuracy rate in kill shots. No bullets in the wood, no bullet holes in windows, nothing. Like Columbine, Wolfgang said when he went to Columbine, it looked like a war zone. Blood and tissue matter all over the place. Broken windows, bullet holes in the walls, all over the place. But not one in Sandy Hook. Why is that? Was this kid Rambo? Is he better, more gifted than our own special forces who couldn't even pull that kind of operation off? So, these are the things that makes you convinced, hey, this is an elaborate hoax to push gun control. Because if you want to put this in perspective here, to lay out the events that took place prior to this event coming. The UN with their Small Arms Treaty kept hounding the United States government in their Small Arms Treaties conventions and right in the United Nations bill in New York to say, hey, we need to get rid of guns, we need to get rid of guns, we need to get rid of guns. And they kept failing. Failed. And I went on record, I want to state this, on my show, when I was on 990 WBOB at the time, on record, okay, I went on the air after the Small Arms Treaty failed. I stated, just like this, I said, this spells disaster because they are going to stage a shooting. There's going to be a mass shooting, and I hope to God I'm wrong, and sure enough, Aurora, Colorado happened. And again, the Small Arms Treaties failed again. And I stated, again, right after that happened, I said, listen, I went on record to even say, hey, they are going to go after a school, they're going to kill a bunch of kids. And I hope to God I'm wrong. And if this was legit or not, that's just these questions. That's, But I say that they're going to go kill a bunch of kids, and I hope to God I'm wrong. They're going to go into the school and shoot just to push a Small Arms Treaty and these gun bills. Sure enough, not too soon after that, Sandy Hook happened. And I prayed to God that I was wrong about that. And right away, legislation was proposed. Record time in Connecticut. Well, let's push these gun bills. You got to give up your multi-round clips, everything else, and it was disgusting. Rob your civil liberties because you want to push gun control. So, I hate being right about stuff. Hope to God I was wrong about all of it. I did. And it's not about being right or wrong. And it's just like, the globalists, their minds, what they're going to plan. Especially when you study your enemy, like the Bible says, to know your enemy and expose them. I know my enemy well too long, well. And more than I should. But, it's these people are sadistic, sick, and people say, oh, they would never kill American people. Our own government. Yes, they would. They would kill their own family just to push an agenda. And you got to realize it's not our government that's bad. It's criminal elements who hijack parts of the government that are bad. And I'm not saying I'm anti-government. I'm not. I'm saying I'm anti the globalism. Against, these globalists who hijacked our government. That's who I'm against. I mean, there's good people in the government. Of course there is. But, I mean, there's evil at the top. And speaking of Sandy Hook, Sandy Hook Commission calls for government crackdown on homeschools. Eric Owens reports on the Daily Caller. Under the new law proposed this week by Connecticut Governor Daniel Malloy's Sandy Hook Advisory Commission, every homeschooling parent with a child who has been labeled with a behavioral or emotional problem would be forced to submit a host of strict, burdensome regulations. And the scheme put forth in the Commission's draft recommendations on mental health would require homeschooling parents to submit individual education plans regularly to a local education bureaucrat. And the school officials could then decree whether the parents may continue to educate their own children. Reports get post. And administrators could pull the plug on any parent's homeschooling by declaring that the child failed to make adequate progress. Unbelievable. So, of course, they're going to do whatever they have to do to get the kids into the public indoctrination schools. That's exactly what they are. Public schools are nothing but indoctrination centers. And I encourage people all the time, homeschool your kids. And it doesn't matter if it's against the law or not. It's not against the law because the Constitution trumps any law. So, Connecticut, you can make Malloy, Governor Malloy, you are a criminal scumbag. And that's why when you push your gun control, that's why we have about 200,000 Connecticut residents that did not comply to your laws. And your own state troopers even said they're not going to enforce the laws either. Because it's unconstitutional. The Constitution trumps your laws, Malloy, because you're a piece of crap. That's what you are. And I hope that, the citizens, elect a new governor that's a good person to get your ass out of office. And that's why we had over 10,000 people assemble at the Hartford State House in Connecticut there to protest against your gun control. All armed citizens showed up and said, screw you, Malloy. We're not going to comply by your laws. And I encourage all citizens in Connecticut, go buy firearms, go buy automatics, okay? People should have the right to own automatics. And I encourage you to get that. I encourage all citizens to arm yourself to the teeth. Buy all the ammo you need, multi-round clips. You know what? And I don't care. And if the Connecticut State Police or law enforcement, whatever, if you got a problem with that, you can come see me. Yes, I'm encouraging it. And if you don't like it too damn bad, come to see me if you got a problem with it. And, my name is Dan Bidondi. You can come see me because, you know what? The Constitution supports what I say. And I know, again, most of these Connecticut State Police, I met a lot of you guys, are great people. They were good patriots. They were at the State House in Connecticut. They were supporting the gun rights people. And they were there, not even forcing no laws, allowing them, citizens to carry their firearms. And God bless you, my hats off to you guys. But I know that the bureaucrats at the top that like to think they could abuse the law. And again, most of the state police there, I met are good people. So I'm not bashing the state police itself. I'm bashing the criminals at the top there. And I just want to make that clear because I did meet a lot of, I talked to a lot of the state troopers and good people, man. And it's like, well, they feel safe that all these citizens are armed. And, it surprised me, but I was like, wow, good guys, you know what I mean? And my rating here, we got into most of the news here. We got to go to break in about a couple of minutes. But we got an article here. Presence of armed citizens prevent more deaths, says Oklahoma County Sheriff. And again, another good cop supporting the Second Amendment. Truth Revolt, Caleb Howie reports, on Friday, police reported that 2 women were brutally attacked in Oklahoma City on Thursday at their workplace. One of the women died, her head severed from her body in a gruesome assault. The other woman survived, her attacker having been stopped by a citizen carrying a concealed handgun. And without the weapon, Tracy Johnson might have been laying in the morgue instead of recovering at the same hospital where her attacker is being treated today. So basically, another article that the mainstream media won't tell you about, how a gun saved a life. Once in a while, somebody will go off the handle and, shoot somebody, and they'll blast that out as headline news. Oh, look, this is why we need to ban guns. But tons of gun reports every day. Tons of headlines at how a gun saved somebody's lives. And you got D.C. mayor right here. He says, admitting that gun control doesn't work for D.C., but the mayor calls for more gun control. Brian Anderson from Downtrend. The great thing about arguing gun control with the leftist ninnies is that you don't have to argue at all. They talk themselves into a corner, leaving us pro-Second Amendment types free to sit back and laugh, which is very true. And they talk about the yesterday at Navy Yard shooting memorial, Washington, D.C. Mayor Vincent Gray made a impassioned speech about the need for more gun control, and all the while providing proof that tough gun laws do nothing to reduce crime. And he quotes, "Residents of our city lost friends and neighbors. They lost mothers and fathers. They lost colleagues, and they lost fellow church members," said Gray. But he's admitting that the gun control doesn't work, but let's push more gun control so the crime rates can go up even more. I mean, that's an oxymoron if you ask me. But let's go to a break. We'll be right back on the Truth Radio Show on Freedomizer Radio. And you got residents grab guns to deter looters in Los Cabos, Mexico, and another story how guns help people and save lives. And Pedro Draz Mija from the FP reports, residents of Mexico's Los Cabos resort armed themselves with guns and machetes in hurricane-battered neighborhoods to defend their homes from looters as troops were deployed. And the government sent extra federal police and soldiers to the Baja California Peninsula to counter widespread looting that erupted after Hurricane Aldi tore down homes earlier this week. And officials also confirmed that the 2 deaths from the storm, 62-year-old Korean man and another German man who died of a heart attack on a boat. And basically, what they're trying to say is that the guns, the citizens arming themselves prevented a lot of looting, as they would have done in Hurricane Katrina, but FEMA and the tyrannical sheriff's department down there had to go confiscate, as they openly say, we're taking everybody's guns. And even people who had nothing to do with the flood that weren't even affected by it, law-abiding citizens. I mean, look at the one old lady, they broke her arm. They pushed her, broke her arm, because she refused to give up her little revolver. So the citizens couldn't defend themselves against looters. And right then and there, when those troops were marching down those streets taking guns, the citizens should have stood their ground. And I'm not calling for violence, but you need to teach these people a lesson. Say, hey, you know what? I don't care if you're authority or not. You are not taking our guns. And they should have rounded up all the gun pro-Second Amendment citizens and stood their ground. Say, you know what? Over our dead body, taking our guns. And I'm not saying to shoot them, whatever, but say, make a stand. Say, you know what? You come across this line, there's the line right there of liberty. You step across that, we're going to shoot you, tearing the ass down. Plain and simple. And a bunch of scum that think they could abuse the Constitution and they, state of emergency martial law says we have the authority. No, it doesn't. Your state of emergency martial law is not authority. I don't like to swear on my show, I don't, and sometimes I just want to lash out with these cuss words, but I don't like to swear because it just doesn't create good character. It really doesn't. Even though it might be justified a little bit to do so, but it's just I'm not a person that likes to do that. Anyway, another good story that mainstream media is not talking about. A girl, 11 years old, shoots a man attacking mother in southeast Oklahoma City. And a child shot a man earlier Wednesday after police say he stabbed the child's mother at a home in southeast Oklahoma City. Police report the incident appears to be domestic related. An 11-year-old girl was called a hero by neighbors Wednesday after she used a handgun to shoot the man who was attacking her mother. And about 4 a.m. Tuesday, Oklahoma City police were called to the home and found that Brady Moreno, who said she was stabbed by her ex-boyfriend, Leo Henry. And the little girl, 11 years old, she is a hero. And that right there, mainstream media will not talk about that. And the local news will have a little article in the newspaper or whatever, or the local media, just a little article on the website, but not highlight and say, hey, gun saves a life. That little girl just saved her and her mom's life. Because God knows what that psychopath was going to do to her mother and probably her. And, again, all these good stories all the time, but the mainstream media will never, never, never talk about it. And speaking of good and bad here, I mean, the latest news about Eric Holder stepping down as Attorney General. But the bad news here is, could Big Sister Janet Napolitano become the next Attorney General? And remember when she stepped down from the Director of Homeland Security? Why would she step down from a position like that? Because they make these people, they step down, they say, hey, step down because we got a bigger position for you in government. So they stepped down. She was the governor of Arizona, became the director of Homeland Security. I mean, she's Adolf Hitler and the female version of her. I mean, she just should grow the mustache because she's exactly like Adolf Hitler. And God forbid she was to become the next Attorney General. I mean, she's worse. I mean, they replace devils with bigger devils. And you think Eric Holder is bad? Put Janet Napolitano as Attorney General. God forbid. And who's to say she's not going to become the next vice president because she'll never be elected, but the president would pick her. I mean, this is crazy. And Political reports this. Big Sis to become the next Attorney General with a question mark. There's also at least one high-profile long shot on the informal list being circulated inside Obama's camp. Former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano, who left Washington in 2013 last year, to take over as a massive University of California system, according to one Democrat with close ties to the White House. And Napolitano was original choice for the job at the start of Obama's first term, a favorite then Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel. And Holder, who considered himself the sole front-runner for the job, who startled during the 2008 and 2009 transition period when he was handed Department of Justice binder that included headshots of himself and Napolitano as potential AGs. So basically, yeah, they replaced one. And you think Eric Holder's going to go away? No. He might be stepping down, but they got him in another position. I guarantee next year, the year after, he's going to become something like a vice president, something, well, you know, when the next elections come, something like part of the chief of staff of probably Jeb Bush or whatever the next puppet's going to be. So they don't step down for a reason, folks. They step down for higher positions of government. And that's why Hillary Clinton, she stepped down. Well, she had no choice because she was under a lot of heat of the Benghazi incident. So isn't Eric Holder. All these people are. Operations Fast and Furious, that the government got caught with their pants down, red-handed, giving money and weapons to the drug cartels and blaming the Second Amendment. And a lot of the deaths are on their hands, same thing with Benghazi and all that. And they get told to step down, you know, declare your record for a while, then come back, we're going to put you in a higher position in government. And Hillary Clinton's dead set and running for president. And no, Hillary Clinton will not win. She'll be the front runner against their pick. And she knows from day one, she knew probably years ago that, hey, in 2016, you're going to be a presidential nomination, you know, probably the Democratic nomination. You're going to be running against the Republican pick because we need to switch the pendulum back over to the Republican side to pacify the American people for a while. So you got to be his front runner, and you'll lose the election, but you'll have a higher place in government later on. That's how they get promised higher positions in government for them to, you know, keep their mouth shut, basically, and to them to be used as pawns. And we got about 9 minutes left, 8 minutes left in the segment to the top of the hour. We're going to be joined by Jim Stallings Jr. He's a Midwest correspondent reporter for TruthRadioShow.com. He's going to be talking about us, about the news and everything else, and a lot of good stuff from him. So we look forward to talking to him. And you got city officials, developers recommend coffin apartments for middle class. And Kit Daniels from InfoWars reports, more American cities are following New York City's lead and develop micro apartments as small as 220 square feet, allowing city officials to gain more tax revenue and control at the expense of their residents' mental health. And in Austin, Texas, real estate developers are currently working with the city council to amend zoning regulations to allow developers to build more coffin apartments, which would allow the city to expand the tax base and promote dependence on public transportation heavily subsidized by taxpayers. And this is all part of the Agenda 21, folks. I mean, Melissa Melton on Truth Stream Media, that was formerly of Infowars.com, she did a huge report, her and Aaron Dykes, great reporters. They did so many reports when they worked for InfoWars, and they're doing them for Truth Stream Media, which we're going to try to get on the show soon. And they did so many reports exposing Agenda 21. She even stated the layout of these small apartments they're trying to push people into. Sure, that might be good for a single person, family. They want to condense everybody into metropolitan cities, put hundreds of people into even thousands if they could, stack them into giant high-rises so they could control you and everything else. And I mean, it's all part of Agenda 21. You know, that's by the United Nations. They want to reduce the population as well. They want to condense all the population to these megaplex cities and prevent you from owning vehicles. And if you think this is a joke, folks, go to the United Nations website, Agenda 21. I can't say that enough. It's all part of the diversity plan and everything else, and it's just really sickening. It really is disgusting and sickening. And you got mysterious Georgia Guidestones get strange 2014 update. And I'm going to talk about this briefly. And this will end the segment of the show here. Paul Joseph Watson reports this. The Georgia Guidestones, which some see as an elite manifesto for neo-eugenics and population reduction, have received a strange 2014 update. Now the plaque, I mean, people go to Google, go to images, type in Georgia Guidestones on New World Order 10 Commandments. You'll come to these pictures of these Guidestones. They look like some mysterious monument. And basically they have 8 different languages on these Guidestones, because it's 4 tablets, and English and Spanish on one. And even before this little block appeared, they had a little carving in the cement, the concrete of it, that appeared to be there something was going to be there. So now, mysteriously, this block appeared, and this says 2014, 20 and 14 on the other side. So could this be the New World Order saying, hey, we're going to push our agenda in 2014? But again, there's nothing to be afraid, folks, nothing at all to be afraid of, because you know, it's on God's timing, not the elites. So don't be all freaked out about this. And we know the elite use these Guidestones to push their Communist Manifesto, which goes back to beyond the Communist Manifesto, which is the priorities of the Illuminati, which is the backbone of Communist Manifesto, the backbone of the whole United Nations agendas. And again, Bill Gates up there saying we need to develop new vaccines to reduce the population. And that's not conspiracy, folks. It's right on the 2010 TED conference meeting. And it's really grotesque and sickening. And we talked about this. You know, I want to bring this up one more time. House set to audit the Fed. The Tim Shoemaker Campaign for Liberty, Friday night, Campaign for Liberty received confirmation that H.R. 24, the Federal Reserve Transparency Act, the audit the Fed is better known, sponsored by the Congress, Paul Brown, will receive a vote as soon as Tuesday. And I don't know what developed from this. I'm not sure. But anyway, long story short, the reason why I brought this up for, because I'm going to state again, if the Federal Reserve is audited again, it will be their own people. And of course, they're going to say, hey, everything's okay. But independent auditors, if they were to go there, and I guarantee there's no gold in there. I'll bet vital parts of my anatomy that there is no gold in those Federal Reserve places. I mean, because they confiscated the gold years ago. Gold was outlawed by President FDR, who issued an executive order. I forgot the executive order number, but he issued an executive order to outlaw gold. It belonged to the Federal Reserve, and it was back in the 1930s, and everybody had to turn their gold in or be arrested. That's on record. And we've got about a couple minutes of the show. We're going to have James Stallings Jr. joining us after the next break here in a few minutes. And we're going to hear a lot of good reports from him. Again, he's a Utah Midwest correspondent, reporter for Truth Radio Show. And ex-U.S. Marine jailed in Mexico says he didn't mean to cross the border. We had an interview on the show Alternate Current Radio last Friday night with Jill, his mother, Tamara Rossi. She had a great interview talking about, and we're going to bring this up. We're probably going to bring her on this show. I'm sorry, it was last week. I'm sorry, we talked about this. I get confused because we do so many shows and everything else, and gets confused on who was on what show. But we had her last week, and it was a great interview, and we posted it on YouTube as well. So anyway, we got a Marine. He was like jailed, and we're trying to get him out of there, and we're gonna have updates on what's going on with that. And hopefully, when he gets out, we're gonna have him on the show to explain what happened, what transpired when he was in the prison in Mexico. And I know she don't want to hear that and like it, but you know what? If the legal way doesn't work, the right way doesn't work, again, people should, okay, military people should all round up together and pull off an operation to go get him out of there. I mean, in Mexican police, what are they going to do, really? But I mean, do it the legal way, yes. But if the legal way doesn't work because it's all corrupt too, Mexico officials are corrupt just as much as we are. If it doesn't work that way, you go take that guy back by force. And I've got about a minute to break, and again, TruthRadioShow.com. I encourage people, again, please donate to us to help expand the operation. And we're going to get live video streaming going, and we got all the plans in the works, but again, we need funding. And when we get back, we're going to have Jim Stallings Jr. The guy is a great reporter. He's the one that first broke before anybody. Nobody talked about this. The chemical truck spraying, these pesticides and everything that kill your sperm count, cause all kinds of mental diseases all over the population. Nobody talked about it. James is the first one to bring it up. We brought it up, the first radio show, first news outlet in the whole world to bring this up, because nobody else was talking about it. And we're going to have him in just about a minute. But anyway, we're going to go to a break at the top of the hour. And you listen to the Truth Radio Show on freedomizerradio.com. And we're back on the Truth Radio Show on freedomizerradio.com, and it's already the second hour, and we got on hold right now Jim Stalin Jr. And before we get to Jim, we're going to go to our quote of the week. And we were talking about earlier about gun control and everything else, and how the elite opening statement need to brainwash you. Eric Holder, the Attorney General, stating that. And right here is a quote of the week by Eric Holder stating, "We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way." He's openly stating, he said that right open, hey, we need to brainwash the public to say guns are bad. Openly stated that. And again, we need to do everything, every day this week, and just to really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way, states Eric Holder. This guy should be in jail, if you ask me. And it's just really disturbing that people, elect or even love these people. You know what I mean? And but anyway, we got Jim Stalin Jr. on the phone. How you doing, brother?
Good, Dan. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Oh, not a problem. And we're just haven't heard from you for a while, so I know you're working on a new report and everything else, and want to get you back on and all that. But I wanted to hear from you and see what you've been up to and what you've been researching and everything.
Well, I'm still exposing to chemical trucks. Worked with a lady known on YouTube as Madison Star Moon, and we've made several videos exposing this, and I see a real awakening. You can go on YouTube now and type in chemical trucks caught spraying chemicals, and people as far up into Canada and all around the United States is starting to question these people and go out and ask them why they're spraying. And I see a real turning point in our reporting on the chemical trucks and the eugenics operation.
Absolutely.
Also, have been.
You're the pioneer in this whole thing. You're the first one to come out, and we put it right on the air, the whole report and everything else. And I caught that truck doing it myself in Cumberland, Rhode Island. And our show, you in general, you're the pioneer of exposing all this, and you're spreading mass awareness, which is great. And I encourage you to get out to every show you can. I can help book you on other shows too to get this, this awareness spread.
Yeah, any show that would have me on, let me give my findings and my research, is great. It really is. The more people we wake up, the more of a chance we have of stopping this. And actually, there was a town in Oregon, or it was Washington, that actually stopped all pesticide sprays in their town. First town to do so in America. So my hat's off to them. And I hope that they seen our videos and we was able to wake them up into doing so. And now if we can just get the rest of the little cities and communities aware of the endocrine disruptors that it's being sprayed on them and their families, we can stop this altogether. We can stop the death of the honeybees, because the spray is directly what's causing the colony collapse disorder. And I think that if we all wake up and unite, we'll stop this. And we can reverse, the effects on our planet and on our children, so that our future grandchildren and their grandchildren can be free and healthy.
Absolutely, and we need to spread awareness on this, and our report's going viral, and one we did on a Skype interview, and we need to make more reports about this, and get out there and confront these trucks people, get out there and say, hey, what the hell are you spraying? Go to your town halls and everything else, and the department of who runs that mainly, the highway department.
Well, usually the county or the city is in charge of the mosquito abatement, but sometimes they hire private contractors to go around with backpack sprayers and spray. The main people is the county and the city officials. We confront them and call them and tell them what they're spraying, And most of them don't even know that it's an endocrine disruptor. They just know that it's permethrin or Roundup or whatever chemical they're spraying, but they don't understand that it's an endocrine disruptor, and that in certain doses it actually interferes with the hormone system in animals or mammals in general. And most of them, I can hear it. You know, they want to know. They say they will research. But something scary had happened the other night, about 2 weeks ago. Me and my oldest son stopped one of the trucks. I didn't have my camera with me, but she was spraying a schoolhouse. And I stopped her and asked her what she was spraying, and she said that she was spraying for mosquitoes. And I said, "Ma'am, we have no mosquitoes here in this part of Utah. What if I told you that you were spraying human beings?" And she laughed. And I said, "Why don't you go Google endocrine disruptors, because that's what you're spraying." And she had the most wicked laugh and look on her face, and her exact words, and I quote, "I'm a special education teacher. I know exactly what I'm spraying." So the people here in Utah that I confronted are the teachers that's teaching the kids that's been affected by the very same chemicals that they're spraying. Now, is that not job security?
Oh yeah, I mean, and the thing is, she don't know. I mean, because these people, I'm sure they're very educated, no doubt, whatever. They have the college and all that, but they use that to say, "Hey, I'm a college graduate, or I'm a special education teacher, blah blah blah." Like that justifies anything, or the matter at that. It doesn't matter what your education background is. It doesn't make you more of an authority because you have a higher education background. And if she really knew what glyphosate, because glyphosate is the active ingredient in those chemicals. It's the active ingredient in Roundup too. Glyphosate, I'm sorry. It's GLPSHOAT, whatever. Anyway, it's if you go Google it right now, you can see it's linked to cancer, linked to autism, linked to birth defects. I mean, this stuff is deadly chemicals, folks, and it's the active ingredient in Roundup, and also the active ingredient that's in these pesticides being sprayed, as James is talking about.
And the other one is permethrin. That's the bad one. That's the endocrine disruptor in the mosquito spray. See, they're all endocrine disruptors. The chemicals are called different things. You can call it Roundup, you can call it permethrin, glyphosate, but they're all endocrine disruptors, and they work together in a whole. You breathe a little bit in at night and you sleep. You walk down the sidewalk that's had it sprayed on it for weeds. You get it in your drinking water. You know, you get it in your shots, cheap baby foods, cheap plastics, or just cheap products in general, targeting, you know, more of the poorer society, because that's all they can afford when they go buy it. So if you're getting the combination, this cocktail of these endocrine disruptors, it's literally what's changing and controlling the human species as we know it in a giant eugenics operation.
Absolutely.
The state mandate.
Eugenics and yeah, it's all linked together. I mean, it's all part of a global depopulation program.
Yep, and the state mandates that the county sprays that. And as far as other news out here in Utah, I've uncovered this UFO phenomena that they have in Salt Lake, in different parts of Utah, that it's actually high-altitude surveillance blimps, and you can find their landing zones out in the West Desert. They're spy blimps, and they've been using them to spy on us. And anybody can go Google the West Desert, west of the Great Salt Lake in that mountain range, and find these blimp zones. They're not UFOs. That is a cover story being used by your government because they don't want you to know that they have been using these high-altitude surveillance blimps. I've been spreading awareness on different radio shows, and now tonight on your...
Well, if people think he's lying about this, go to CBS News. I mean, I just Googled it. Huffington Post is talking about this. off the grid news before it's news. I mean, a bunch of news sources talking about these government spy blimps. I mean, he's exactly on target, folks, of what he's talking about. Google it yourself. Go ahead, James.
And we're talking a blimp that's 300 to 400 feet long, translucent, equipped with the latest technology and surveillance. At 20,000 feet, they can see 35 square miles, even at night. They can look down in your house and tell what kind of lights you got on. And I wouldn't be surprised if they could just sit there and listen to you. And worst case scenario, they could radiate you and cause cancer with them.
And all that's on record, folks. I mean, if you do the research of all these individual things, it's all there. I mean, like the cell phone itself. I mean, the EMF from the cell phone is dangerous alone. Your laptops, especially the iPads. I mean, I read the manuals of the iPad because I was trying to, my Galaxy tablet, I was trying to figure something out. But in the manual said not to keep these things away from children because of the high radiation and EMF and all that. But yeah, I mean, like dead on accurate, Jim. And Jim does his studies and homework very well.
And one thing you got to ask yourself, ladies and gentlemen, where do males put their cell phones? In their front pocket next to their genitals. Where do females keep their cell phones? In their breast pocket or even in their bra. Has there not been an increase in testicular cancer and breast cancer since cell phones has been invented?
It has,
yes.
Yep.
It's caused it. And they're using technology to help with this eugenic operation. Because they know that radiation causes cancer, and they know that the boys are putting it in their front pockets, and that little girls are putting them in their bras to hide them at school. They know this. They were designed to. It was designed by sophisticated Nazis, transhumanists, who want to control us with chemicals and technology and merge us together.
Oh yeah, and it was also a little splinter of the Operation Paperclip too, what they had the plans for anyway. That goes way deep anyway, but you're exactly right, James. And we talk about this all the time with the news, all the related articles, and the agenda behind everything. And exactly what James is talking about. It's part of a human depopulation program. Again, Agenda 21, John P. Holdren's Eco-Science. That's Obama's science czar. I mean, they openly brag about this, folks. Openly in their conference meetings and memoirs and books. They openly say, we're going to reduce the population. Bill Gates, again, I bring this up all the time, just sitting there. To bring the population down, we're going to come up with newer vaccines. And he goes, one of these has to come down to zero, referring to the population of the planet. And you could just hear the evil laugh in the crowd. You hear him like, the evil laugh, and them applauding him. And this guy gets a Nobel Peace Prize for promoting that he wants to depopulate the planet and kill you. And he supplies how many vaccines in the third world countries? I mean, the Gates Foundation is a complete evil society and part of the whole eugenics process. And I mean, we could go on all night about this. And what's your next step of doing now, James? I mean, do you have any more plans to actually go after this?
Yeah, I'm going to continue confronting, making videos, and coming on as many shows as humanly possible to tell the world of my research and my studies and my findings. I'm going to start a small talk show on Blog Talk Radio and just do a daily 30-minute show. And I'm going to fight against Agenda 21 just like Dan is. And when I'm not coming on the radio working for Dan, I'm going to have my own little radio show. So hopefully I can get it going.
Oh, great.
And I'm going to continue exposing the blimps, the internment camps that they use out here, the NSA spying. And I'm not going to stop until the people are brought to justice. That's the only thing. I'm not going to stop. And anybody that's listening that's involved in this, the last people who did what you're doing now with these chemicals, they were all convicted and they were all hung by the neck until dead. So I want you to keep that in mind while we're investigating you and we're collecting evidence. You're the one that could possibly be at the end of the noose after your trial.
Oh yeah, look at the
Nuremberg
trials.
Quit.
I mean, they said, oh, we were just following orders. You know, that just don't, you know, just following orders does not cut it. I mean, look at all those people at the Nuremberg trials and all that said they were just following orders.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what's going to happen here, because I'm going to continue to wait. Like I say, I see an awakening now just because when I click on YouTube videos, I see more people making their own videos about chemical trucks, and I see that they're getting upset. And the excuse of the EPA said it was safe, or the EPA made it law, I could spray this on you, that excuse is not going to be valid very much longer. So you're going to have to make a conscious decision to stop spraying the citizens of America and the world with these chemicals, or face Nuremberg-type trials.
Absolutely. And, I mean, like, my hat's off to you, brother. I mean, you did a lot of good stuff lately, and especially since you started this whole movement, and, you know, waking people up left and right. And you were the first to bring light to this, and you came on the show here to expose all this. And, yeah, I'm grateful, because it was funny, because I say this a lot, and to the new listeners out there, the day Jim told me about these things, about the chemical trucks, and no one ever lied, the very next morning I was on my way to work, because I was working at a security company early in the morning on my way to work. And what I say, right in front of me is a city truck or state truck, whatever, spraying these chemicals. And I'm like, wow. You know, and I got my camera out because I always carry it with me, and I'm following the truck along. I confronted it, I got on YouTube and everything else. But, you know, it was amazing how that worked out. But, you know, like Jim was the first one to talk about this, and we were the first show, me and Jim, you know, preferably Jim, was the first one ever to bring this to light to the public. And this is growing huge, and I've seen your other shows on the YouTube channels and all that, great reports and all that. And we need to, like, increase this this movement here to wake people up about this. And yes, people, you have a right to get pissed. All in rights, you have the right to get pissed and confront these bastards. And again, the people working on the trucks, they have no idea. They say, oh, just go spray the insecticide. And then, you know, you can see the guy in my video, the guy spraying it didn't even have a respirator on, not knowing he's breathing this crap. You know what I mean? And, it's crazy. But Jim, if you want to hold right there, we got to go to a break. And we'll be right back on Truth Radio Show on freedomizerradio.com. And it's just disgusting. I mean, the eugenics, you got the chemtrails, it's GMOs, the fluoride, these chemical trucks being spraying this crap around. I mean, it's just overwhelming, but you know what? We can't give up, you know. Before I bring James back on, I just want to state, Alex Jones stated this a long time ago. You know, I mean, he showed American history. Basically, you know, in the American Revolution, you know, we lost a lot of wars. I mean, we lost tons of them. But the thing is, you fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. You lose, lose, lose. But when you win, you win. You know, like the Revolution, 14 fights, the 15th one they won, and they won. You know what I mean? And that's exactly how it works here. Yes, we're defeated on all angles, but we win in the end. You know what I mean? And history repeats itself exactly all the time. And that's why we got to keep fighting and saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to give up. It shows perseverance and liberty and the will not to give up. And exactly why we're here, because we know the globalists are attacking us on every angle. We know they want to shut us down constantly. I'm always getting attacked on my channels, my YouTube channels, my social networks and all that for dumb reasons, because they want to shut us up. But you know what? We're not going to shut up. We're going to continue to find a way to expose this information and expose you criminal scum. And Jim, your thoughts on that?
I agree with everything that you say, Dan. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen listening to this show today, this is why your donations to programs like this is so important. So Dan can continue his work. So I can continue my work and bringing you the news, bringing you the truth about eugenics, the truth about government corruption. This is why we need your support. If it wasn't for Dan, you would have never known about these chemical trucks. I would have never come on the radio, never got a job working for TruthRadioShow.com. And this man has exposed a lot, and he has put his reputation and his life out on the line for you. So if there's anything that you can donate to his cause, please do so at the website that he's provided for. And if you need more information on my work, you can go to Jim Stallings Jr. on Facebook, or you can go to the News Ugly Show on Facebook, or you can just type in Jim Stallings Jr. at YouTube, and it will bring up all the videos where I'm discussing eugenics and government corruption. And you just keep up the good work, Dan, and if there's anything that you need me to do here in Utah to go cover, I'm still here, and I'll still be uncovering the truth, as ugly as it is, and reporting to you.
Great, and thank you, James. And what we're going to do is we're reverting the website, truthradioshow.com, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a special profile where people could go and see James Stallings Jr., and he's a reporter, but when you click on his profile, it's going to have all his pages, his YouTube channels, his social media networks, so you could go click on James and check out his stuff, and he brings a lot of good stuff, and also his radio show, we're going to hook up right into the website, so you could go a direct link right into to listen to a show, and whatever you need from me to help out with the show, brother. And again, we need more shows like this, and we encourage everybody out there to start a radio show, start a blog, get involved with a newspaper or something, and spread this information. And anything else, James, you want to cover before we go?
I would just like to say that now is the time for you to stand up and speak out, because they're trying to take that right away from you, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to take away the power of the media that you control. That is the mainstream media is your enemy. The media that you hear on the radio, truthradioshow.com, even InfoWars, this is where the rubber meets the road. All that stuff you see on TV, they're lying to you. They're manipulating you, and it's very important that we stand up and speak for our rights before we lose them all.
You got that right. I mean, they're constantly attacking them. And Jim, thank you so much for being on. We'll have you on again in the future, and you work on your reports and all that. And anytime, you're welcome on the show. And I mean, you're a good friend of mine too. And God bless you, brother. And I hope we actually get to meet someday. I know you're halfway across the country, but hopefully we'll meet someday.
Oh, yeah, we're going to meet someday, Dan. I'll be moving back east in the next 16 months or so, bud. And maybe you can have me live on your show.
Oh, good, yeah.
And
definitely.
For everyone out there, Dan, everything he says is 100% and complete truth. When he's out there confronting these people about your gun rights, you need to respect him, and you need to start doing what he does, and maybe we can save our country. And thanks for having me on again, Dan.
Not a problem, brother. God bless you.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Yep. That was Jim Stallings Jr.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care, brother. Now, James Stallings Jr. from, truthradioshow.com. He's a correspondent reporter. And, thank you for the great words, Jim. And, it's just like, when we talk about the money, it's just it goes into the operation so we can get out there, because we're spending money out of our own pockets to bring you the stuff. And it's not about the money. I hate money with a passion. I mean, one thing I can't stand in the world is money. I mean, I worked at casinos. I've seen these high rollers. I mean, they come in, stacks of $100 bills, flipping them in the machine like they're quarters. I mean, it just makes you sick to your stomach. And when you're dealing with all this money and all that, I work for armored car companies, you see all this money and all that, it's like, I don't even get enticed by it. It's just so, I hate it. I hate money because it just destroys and controls every part of your life. I mean, all the problems result from money. When Jesus said, which is going to lead into the next topic here, when Jesus says money is the root of all evil. It is, because it controls everything, and it corrupts everything. And that's what these churches do out there, which is going to tie right into this next subject coming up. And we're going to do a special subject on Jesus versus religion. And once again, thank you, Jim, for the great report. And Jesus versus religion. Now, people say, oh, what are you? Oh, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in Yeshua Messiah, which is his real Hebrew name. And I believe in the Holy Bible and God, Yahweh. And people say, well, what religion are you? I'm not a religion. Well, you have to be a religion because you believe in God. First of all, where in the Bible does it say you have to do that? The Bible is not a religion. No religion on the planet, I don't care what religion it is, not one religion on the planet is of God. None of them. And I don't mean to offend anybody out there. I don't. But how many religions say, hey, contradict the Bible constantly? You got the Mormons out there who think that Jesus came back here in America, which, if you read the book of Matthew, totally debunks that. He said, well, he came back because white is a person, and when Mormonism started, they stated that if you marry a black man, that's against God, because the blacks are evil. That's right in the Mormon doctrines. I mean, now they let blacks into the church, but they won't let them become priests. And you're forbidden to marry interracially, because they said Jesus was a white guy, and he came back here in America, which was totally wrong. And this angel Moroni, they call the angel, he's not an angel. There is no angel listed as a man named Moroni, or angel named Moroni. But not just to target the Mormon religion. I mean, they got their doctrine called the Book of Mormons, which totally contradicts the Bible itself. Jesus says, when I come back, when he stated in the book of Matthew, he stated, and this goes for all the other religions that say Jesus already returned in the 1800s, or the when Nero is here, whatever. All these religions that say Jesus returned in different parts, or these false prophets come to say he's the Christ. Well, let me clarify one thing. None of you are real religions. None of you are of God. I'm boldly stating that right now. I don't care who it offends, really. I really don't care at this point, because your religion is evil. Not you, but your religion is evil. The people who run your religion is evil. Joseph Smith was a tyrant. Okay, the guy who was an occultist on record, him and his father practiced black magic. That's why he was kicked out of the Methodist Church. Joseph Smith Jr. and his father Sr., they practiced divinization, scrying, and all that. He was kicked out of the Methodist Church. And when he created his own religion with this hogwash he spreads, and he joined the Freemasonry Lodge, and not coincidentally, after he joined in the Freemasons, his certain things that go on in the church and rituals happen to be identical to Freemasonry. I mean, give me a break. If anybody believed that cockamamie crap in the first place, I mean, you really need to adjust yourself. Say, hey, what does the Bible say about this? Jesus said, Jesus returned back, and he came back to the American Indians in North America. First of all, let me tell you something. Jesus says vividly in the book of Matthew to his disciples. He says, his apostles there, he says, when I come back, it'll be like the lightning flashing in the east and being seen in the west. The whole world will see me come. The whole world. Now, when Jesus came here in North America, supposedly, did the whole world see him? No, he didn't. And again, it's not just the Mormons, it's other religions too that preach this crap. He did not come back here in North America. He hasn't come back. When he ascended off that mountain of Olives, and he told his disciples, as the days of Noah, because they asked him, when will you return, Lord? He said, as the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. And he said, these prophecies will have to come true first before I come back. And he said, Israel become a nation again. And, when supposedly, according to Mormons and these other religions out there, that when Jesus came back, and these other, so-called returns of Christ, Israel didn't become a nation again into the 1940s. He just talked about the nuclear bomb. That didn't happen to the 1900s. He talked about the one world religion, one world government. That's in the midst of happening now. He talked about the mark of the beast. And John, Revelation's there. That hasn't happened yet. It's happening now with the RFID chip. None of that happened back then when Joseph Smith walked the earth. So how in the hell could you justify to say, just because a demon, not an angel, a demon named Moroni came and said, Jesus came back? Nobody's seen Jesus come back. And he said, Joseph Smith said he's seen Jesus and God standing there in front of him. No, that wasn't Jesus. That wasn't God. That was unclean spirits, because the guy openly practiced divinization, scrying, and then, the guy was evil, period. And so was Muhammad. He claimed almost the same similar story. Muhammad was an evil tyrant. I mean, the guy raped kids. That's right, kids. Married them, then divorced them, and he murdered them most of the time, just to justify, Allah told me to do it. Then you got the Catholic Church. I mean, that's an abomination all in itself. The Catholic Church is behind the creation of the whole Islamic faith. And if you do the history and research, you can see the Jesuits had a big part of Islam. They helped the whole Mormon church, they helped the whole Islam faith take off the way it is today. And it's all connected, folks. All these religions, are the backbone of them are evil. They don't represent God. The book of Matthew alone debunks all these religions and all their doctrines. The Book of Mormons, the Catechism, the Watchtower. All these doctrines of men and devils, that's all they are. They're not of God. I mean, they contradict totally of what the book of Matthew alone says, not alone the Bible. They totally contradict. And Jesus says, when people say, I am in the desert, do not go there. Do not listen to them. I am here. Do not go there and listen to them. Because when I come back, the whole world will see me coming. Did the whole world come and see when Joseph Smith, he said he'd come back? No, the whole world didn't know that. Nobody seen that. That was a contrived lie. Same thing with these other people like Lord Rael, they call him. He's got a huge ministry going on. He says he's the return of Christ. He's the return of the Messiah, the Maitreya and all that. Did the whole world see you come? No, they didn't. Barely anybody even knows about you, even though you got a few thousand followers. But he made these outrageous predictions. So did Joseph Smith. So did Muhammad. They all made these outrageous predictions. And none of them came true. So it leads to the question, how well do you know Jesus? And you Christians out there too, the mainstream religions, Christians, Baptists, all you Catholics, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, none of you know who Jesus is. Because you got all implanted in your heads. We were brainwashed from day one to believe that he was this white guy. And a lot of the black folks out there programmed and believed to believe he was this black African guy. No, he wasn't black African. No, he was not white. So that debunks your whole Mormonism altogether. And Jesus Christ was not white. Okay, when you look at a Hebrew man, an average Hebrew man in the Middle East, that's what Jesus looked like. He was a dark-skinned fellow. And he didn't have long hair. He had short hair. He wasn't born December 25th. He was born in the spring. He didn't use a fish or the cross as a symbol, because the Second Commandment is against all of that. None of that is true, folks. The real Jesus Christ, which his name is Yeshua Messiah, that's his Hebrew name, he had short hair. He was kind of a dark-skinned fellow. And yes, he was very rugged, because people back then, especially being a carpenter, you were in good shape. He wasn't this hippie-looking guy walking around like we've been programmed to believe. Because the Bible doesn't support any of you. And any wacky beliefs. Because if you read the Bible, Jesus Christ, he followed the Hebrew laws. Men were supposed to cut their hair. And sure, it's a little long maybe, but wasn't long as the movies and such portray them to be. Or the crap that the Catholic Church pumps out to people. To say, he had this long hair, he was white. No, he wasn't white. And I'll argue with anybody at that. And you go into the Sabbath day. People say that the Sabbath day is Sunday. No, it's not. The Sabbath day is Friday night when the sun sets till Saturday when the sun sets. Because if you go back to what God says, now this is God versus religion. Religion says, Pope Gregory the Great in the 1500s says, the day begins at midnight, starts a new day. Well, the Bible says the day begins the very second the sun drops out of the horizon, that starts a new day. So who's right, the Bible or the Pope? Surely not the Pope, because God never gives no authority to a Pope. And if there's one religion I can't stand the most, is the Catholic Church. Because they're behind the backbone of all the abominations of the other religions, even Mormonism. It's all connected, all tied in together. And I'm not saying that the people who go to the Catholic churches are bad. They're not. They are not bad people. They're good people. It's just the leaders who convince you of this wrong stuff. And again, the Pope says, the day begins at midnight. You know what? God says the day begins at sunset. And Constantine says Sunday is the day of Sabbath. No. The Bible clearly states the seventh day of the week is the Sabbath day of rest and worship and prayer. God's day. And every calendar, and people say, it's different calendars. No. Every calendar on the planet, every single one, every nation, every custom across the planet, the day we call Saturday is the seventh day, even on our calendars, because people believe, because the work week and the school week, you start the week off on Monday. No, that's not the start of the week. Even on your calendar, on your refrigerator, Sunday starts the week. It's the first day of the week. Saturday is the seventh day. And Constantine said, the day of Sabbath is on Sunday. No, it's not. God says the day of Sabbath is Saturday. So where you people get justifying, oh, every day is, because I confront Christians on this, every day is God's day. They justify that. Oh, they open the tomb on Sunday. They gathered on a Sunday. It doesn't matter if they gathered on a Monday. Nowhere in the Bible says that the Sabbath day is now Sunday. Nowhere. Just because they gathered on a Sunday, who cares? They could have gathered on a Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. It wouldn't matter. Saturday is still the Sabbath. And they would have not went to the tomb on Saturday because it was the Sabbath day and the Jews had their day of rest and worship. And yes, the Jews got that right. Saturday is the Sabbath. And people claim to know Jesus. I mean, it makes me sick. It's a joke that these Christian places out there, the mainstream religions, the Baptists and all them, claim to know Christ when they do not know Christ. They claim to do. Oh, I believe in Christ, but you don't know who He is. Jesus stated that. You will not know me, and I'll shut the door in your face because you didn't know me and I don't know you. And people think, oh, I know my Savior. No, you don't know your Savior. You do not know your Savior. Because if you practice, which was outlawed here in America, you weren't allowed to celebrate Christmas, Easter, because they knew back then that these holidays were evil. They knew it. They forbid it, they outlawed it, and it wasn't until the 1900s they started recognizing it because the Catholic Church once again infested here into America, because America is founded on Judeo-Christian principles. And we could argue that all day long, but we got the history to back that up. And the Catholic Church and the Vatican international law started infecting here in America, and once again, the Catholic Church grew here in America and said, oh, all right, we're going to merge the holidays because Constantine said so. We're going to merge the holidays. That's what Catholic means, universalism. They encourage the Catholics, the Christian and the pagan faith mixed together, which is not Christian. Now, I don't care. Christianity is not Catholicism. Catholicism is not Christianity. And that's why we condemn all religions, especially nowadays. Every religion has been corrupted. None of them stand for God. And no, the Catholic Church is not the church that Jesus talked about. The church is you, me, and anybody who believes in God, not a building or an establishment. And surely you do never call a pope or a priest a father. Jesus says in Matthew, do not call any man upon the earth your father, for your Father is in heaven. Do not confess your sins to any man on the planet, but with your own mouth to the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the only people you confess your sins to. Do not use repetitive prayer. Whereas the Catholic Church heavily does that. They'll go say 10 Hail Marys, 10 Our Fathers. No. Jesus prohibits repetitive prayer, even if it's good, because repetitive prayer turns into incantation. I mean, you have to have a vast knowledge of the occult to understand this. An incantation is a repetitive prayer or a repetitive thing that turns evil. And it's too far to explain at this point. We're past our break, but we do got to go to break. When we get back, we're going to discuss more of this. Hopefully get into a couple more news articles that are related to this. How Satanists want to distribute pamphlets at Orange County schools. And this is constitutional. We'll talk about that when we get back. And we got the top of the hour. We got Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com joining us. And we'll be right back on Truth Radio Show on Freedom Minds Radio. And we're back on Truth Radio Show on FreedomizerRadio.com. And, people say, oh, don't be bashing Catholics, don't be bashing Mormons, whatever. I bash every religion on the planet equally. They're all corrupt, they're all evil, period. Now, I got to state, I'm not saying people who go to these churches are evil. They have good hearts, good people that go to these churches, but they're fooled to believe that they are serving God. They're not. And if you read your own Bible instead of listening to that idiot up on the pulpit, if you read your own Bible, going to church on Sunday is an abomination because you're going to church on a pagan holiday, a pagan Sunday. I mean, it's called Sunday. It's a pagan worship day of the sun god, Horus. And that goes all the way back to Babylon and beyond. I mean, God warned us about traditions of men. I mean, I don't know how to express it enough, how these traditions are evil. Jesus stated. I mean, Jesus was a rebel against all religion. And I don't know where in God's name hell, does the Catholic Church get off saying that Jesus and Peter was the foundation of the Catholic Church, that Peter was the Pope. They have zero evidence to prove that. And when Jesus says the church, he's talking about we the people, not the Catholic Church. Because when Peter walked the earth, there was no Catholic Church. The Catholic Church didn't exist until Constantine, when he hijacked the Christian faith because they were losing control. And I mean, there's so much historical evidence, and people say, oh, during the Inquisition, Christians killed millions of people. No, it wasn't Christians. The Catholic Church killed millions of people. In 600 years, they killed people for possessing the English Bible or a Bible, period, because they didn't want the Bible getting out to the public. Because they didn't want the people to be able to read the Bible on their own. That's why you had pioneers like these great, I can't remember the guy's names, Tinsdale, Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, this other guy, Martin Luther, John Wycliffe. They were pioneers. They risked their lives to put the Bible in English. King James, he was no perfect person. But King James, one thing he despised was the rule of Rome. He hated everything to do with the Pope. So on purpose, he had his scribes translate from the Hebrew Bible, word for word, into what's known as the Authorized King James Version. And just out of spite of the Pope. And he pushed the Bible out in English because he couldn't stand Rome. And the Pope is not of God. The official name of the Pope is called Vicar of Christ. Means another Christ. No, he's not a Christ. And when they do the communion with the wafer, they actually believe that Jesus Christ literally resides in that wafer. And that's why the priest has to hand it to you and put it in your mouth, because he believes if it gets dropped, it's abomination or whatever. And he believes that Jesus is actually in that Eucharist. He's not, because what they're doing is they're constantly, over and over and over again, putting him back on the cross. That's why they got him displayed on the cross, because he's constantly sacrificing Jesus Christ. He's constantly on that cross. When the real cross is supposed to be without him. We're not supposed to use the cross at all because it's a symbol. In the 10 Commandments, the second commandment says, do not make any engraven image. Any. Even if it's heaven or holy. I don't know what part of these religions don't understand that. That's why they display the crosses, the statues, they bow down to them, all this good stuff, bad stuff. And when the second commandment forbids all of that. And the fish is not the symbol of Jesus. Oh, he walked with fishermen. It doesn't matter. That's an ancient old symbol for the seal of Dagon. It's a symbol of Dagon, not Jesus. And there's no symbols that represent Jesus. And I don't know how many times I got to drill into people's heads, because they constantly contradict what the Bible has to say. Every religion is guilty of it. I don't know how many pastors I talk to, how many priests, and they contradict what the Bible says. And they can never have any biblical scripture to back their Sunday worship up, to back them justifying celebrating these evil satanic holidays. Yule, which is known as Christmas, which was the birthday of Nimrod, which is known as Osiris. Easter, the reason for the ham is because Nimrod's son, which is Tammuz, known as Horus, he was killed by a wild boar. The reason why they eat pork to commemorate his death, because he wanted to be a mighty hunter like his father. This goes back thousands of years, the use of the Easter egg, thousands of years, the Easter bunny. That's nothing new. They use the bunny because it's the most fertile creature on the planet. They've been painting eggs for thousands of years because it symbolizes fertility. And all this stuff, all this debacle has infiltrated anything good of God. And that's why God said in these end times there'll be a great delusion to come across the land, that even the elect, which are the believers, will be deceived. And 99% of believers out there right now believe in the false Christ. They got painted in their minds and images that he's black or he's white, and he's not either. He's Hebrew. That's what he would look like. And when he stated that you will not know me, be gone, because I never knew you, because you didn't know me. And you people out there, you really think in your minds and hearts that you know your Savior? Well, guess what? You don't. And again, I don't care who it offends. What you think you know, you're wrong. Because your pastor, I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he's lying. He doesn't preach the doctrine of the Bible. He preaches some of it, but puts his ministry's system into it, to say you have to make your sacraments, you have to be baptized, you have to do all these things, and especially the Mormon church is the most bizarre of them all. Magic underwear. We could go on all day about that. And these people are maniacs. They really are. They can't use no biblical evidence at all to back up any of their stuff. Not one shred. And you got Satanists want to distribute pamphlets at Orange County schools. And you see these, Satanists, they want to put statues up in Oklahoma and all that. And a group wants to distribute satanic children's books, big book activities, they say. And this is WESH.com reporting this. In Orange County, Florida, a group of Satanists say they plan to distribute pamphlets in Orange County schools. This follows similar moves by Christians and atheist groups who delivered materials to schools last year. And the thing is, people say, well, it's all right because it's freedom of religion. Now, this is where the Constitution comes in. All right, freedom of religion, an expression, all that. Yes, they have a right. They do have a right to distribute their pamphlets. Much as I don't like it, it's freedom of expression. But however, Satanism, the Church of Satan, all that, that's not freedom of religion. That's an occult. Occults harm people physically and spiritually. Cults were heavily outlawed before and well after the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights were written. If you were caught as a Satanist and having a satanic organization, meetings and all that, you would be arrested. So no, it's not your First Amendment to be belong to a satanic church. It's not a religion. Just like Mormonism. Mormonism, up until I think the 70s or 80s, whatever, was always known as an occult. So people say, oh, it's their First Amendment freedom. It's not religion, folks. Sure, they have a right to walk around passing out their books, whatever. That's freedom of expression, whatnot. But to actually practice these satanic rituals and all that, that is against the law. It's not, the Constitution doesn't support them. I mean, it's just a lot of misinformation going on. And we got Joe Biggs coming up in about 4 minutes from now after the break. Joe Biggs from Infowars.com, great reporter. I mean, he's been to Ferguson. He got shot at by Ferguson police. And you could tell he was a journalist into the media, and they purposely shot at him. I mean, a lot of police state. I wanted to cover the police state news tonight. I just started ramping off about other stuff. And we had James Stone Jr. on to talk about the chemicals in these trucks being sprayed around. And there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, again, we never have enough time to talk about everything. I still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacks of news that I didn't even touch, folks. And I could be on there for hours talking. It will never break into everything that's going on. And when we get back from the break, we're going to have Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com. Great reporter, and I can't wait to get down to Austin to meet this guy and meet the new people at Infowars.com. Mikhail Fallon, good friend of mine. Liam McAdoo, a lot of good reporters. We're going to get them all on the show here. We're going to get Darren McBreen back on. We're going to get John Bound back on. And I got to drag Alex's butt. I know the man's busy, him and Rob Do. They're both busy guys, and I want to drag them on the show someday. And Alex is the most hard-working person I have ever known. I know the guy personally. I got to know him personally, and nobody works harder than Alex Jones. And there's nothing, all the stuff I do, multiply that by 100. And I'm not even exaggerating, folks. I mean, this guy is a machine. But anyway, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to have Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com. Stay tuned. You listen to the Truth Radio Show on freedomizerradio.com. And we're back on final hour of the Truth Radio Show. I mean, it goes by so fast. I mean, like, it's so much information out there you want to pump. And, I didn't even touch the news. I don't even know where to start. I mean, like, I only got through one stack, and it's just so much information. It's unbelievable. But we got on the line right now, Joe Rambo Biggs, Infowars.com reporter. How you doing, Joe?
Doing awesome. How you doing?
Oh, great. It's a pleasure to have you on, brother. And I've seen a lot of your work down there. I mean, you're definitely a trooper, brother.
Thank you. It's been interesting. I love it. It's been a good time. It's been a great experience, and everyone there is very dedicated. I thought when I got out of the military I'd never meet another a brotherhood like I did in the military, and I was definitely proven wrong with these guys. These guys are dedicated, and everyone has their back. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, when I was down there, brother, I mean, like, everybody I met, I mean, they're all like family to me now, and I mean, I never met any more hardworking people than, the InfoWars crew, and I was blessed. I mean, it was probably the best time in my life being at the InfoWars headquarters, working side by side with Alex Jones all the time, because I was his producer for a while and a reporter as well. And as you know, in InfoWars, you wear more than one hat. I mean, you're not just reporting; you're either producing, you're using the video camera, or doing something, other than what you really do. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, I edit my own videos, do all my own stuff. So I mean, when I put a video out, that's just me doing everything. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of tasks for one person.
Oh, it is, and I mean, it gets pretty hairy, and that's why we really party at the end of the week. When Friday comes, and it's like, yeah, we got Saturday off, and let's go out with the guys. We get a couple of drinks and just go blow off some steam, because and working in the newsroom, man, I mean, it's pretty intense. I mean, you're getting bombarded. You're working on something. Alex or somebody say, hey, I need you to do this, whatever, and you got to fit that in, and it's fun, though. I loved every minute of it, but you got to be on your toes constantly working at InfoWars, and rightfully so, because InfoWars puts out the best media in the planet. And Joe, what have you been working on lately?
Well, I've been keeping an eye on everything that's going on in Ferguson. You know, now we have this stuff going on in Hong Kong. You know, a lot of the civil unrest. People are, you know, pissed off about the government and how everything's being handled there. You know, there's, you know, tens of thousands of people every day out there now, you know, protesting about the fact that, you know, they're going to be given the rights to vote for somebody in 2017. But what Hong Kong or Beijing said was, no, we're going to let you vote, but we're going to handpick the candidates, and then you guys can vote from them. And that's why all this stuff's going on there.
Oh, yeah, it's like the Delphi technique. Yeah, you have a right to vote, but only the people we choose, which is all the puppets they want in the first place. You know what I mean? So that's really no democracy right there.
It's a beard. It's an illusion.
It's like when we went out to Elgin, Texas. It was me, Aaron Dykes, John Bound. I know it was Darren McBreen and Melissa Melton. We went to cover Agenda 21, which what really was, but it was a diversity thing in Elgin, Texas. And they presented a bunch of questions to the people. It was multiple choice, but any question we answer is in favor for that project. You know, it's like, it doesn't make sense, but, you know, it's like, oh, look, the people said this, so we're going to go with this, you know, but it all plays into their favor. It's unbelievable, and there's really no democracy with that stuff. And I mean, you did a great job down in Ferguson, man. And like, explain to the audience out there that how you know, basically you were there clearly as a news media member, but the police deliberately shot you in the side, in the stomach, whatever, with a rubber bullet.
Oh, I mean, it was a constant. You know, you were almost safer to be a protester than you were a journalist in Ferguson. They intentionally, deliberately went after journalists for a reason, because we are their biggest threat for the truth to get out. You know, there was a part in the first week when it was myself, Jakari Jackson, and Josh Owens, where they ushered us into this media pen, which was about a half a mile down the road from where the protesting was going on, and they had all their military vehicles down there. Well, you know, me and Jakari are sitting there, and I'm like, I'm not happy. I don't want to be here. This is ridiculous. And Jakari's like, yeah, I don't want to be here either. So we snuck out and snuck through the wood line and left the media pen area, the little sheet pen area, and, you know, ran in the dark while these guys with sniper rifles started chasing us and putting the laser dot on us, and then got into the middle of everything so you could actually get coverage. We were the only live coverage out there that night when things were really, really getting bad and heating up. And the police were more concerned about us out there doing our jobs, because they were worried that people around the world would find out their abuse of power and just acting crazy and completely breaking the Constitution in every single way possible, just being thugs with badges.
Exactly what they were, and everybody that's watched the live feed, and that's all on the YouTube channel, The Real Alex Jones Show, and your channel as well. What's your channel name on YouTube?
Mine, I just have one. I think it's just Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you can see the videos out there, folks.
Most of my videos I just put up. Yeah, most of my videos I just put up on Alex's channel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, you got YouTube trying to take our stuff down constantly, and but, you know, we have to keep fighting with that. And but yeah, you're the only ones broadcasting what was really going on, and you know, they don't want to show the media of the world, hey, we got a bunch of MRAPs, we got automatic weapons and snipers. I mean, I seen them point the laser right at, I think it was Jakari, red laser right on his head or whatever.
No, that wasn't me. I was sitting there. Well, Josh got video. It was the second night we were there. I'm standing up, and I walked right to the line. The protesters were about, you know, maybe 50 yards back from the police, and there was this big gap in the middle, and I just walked right up to the cops, and I was just sitting there filming them. I was like, screw this. I'm not going to stand way back here. I'm going to go in there and look in their eyes. I want to see the intent they have. And you could see them laughing and, wringing their hand around the baton like they were just ready to just crack someone's head open. And one guy kept looking at me laughing like he was just ready to bash my head. And, I just looked at him. I was like, you are a sick, degenerate human being. I was like, really, these people are just standing out here, and all you can think about doing is just be given the order to run out here and start cracking people's heads open. That's the kind of professionalism they had at Ferguson that entire time I was there. I felt more threatened in Ferguson than I did in times I was in Iraq. It was just ridiculous.
Wow. That's unbelievable, man. I'm kind of glad I went there because the guys were saying if I would have went there, I would have got arrested. Because, that just boils my blood. And I kept begging Rob Dew and Alex, hey, send me to Ferguson, I guess Darren wanted to go too, but I guess everybody wanted to go to Ferguson, but only a limited amount of you guys could have went. But I wanted to be there with you on the front lines, man. And when I was sitting there watching the videos live, I'm telling you, I felt like part of a team, which we're all part of the team at InfoWars, but I felt helpless. I'm like sitting there watching my brothers live on TV, and I'm like, I should be there. I was just pissed off that night. I'm like, I should be there right with those guys. But yeah, they're right. I definitely would have got arrested because I got a big mouth. And in that press conference there,
it was bad because it was we got there on a Monday or Tuesday night, the day or so after everything happened and went to hell. And it was like a day or two later because I showed up on Monday and I went and talked to Alex and Dew, and I said, hey, this is somewhere we need to be. Trust me, I need to be there. So we assembled a team and we went out there, and it was a Wednesday night, and it's when we're lined up and they started shooting at the protesters and gassing, and they pushed everybody back far, and they had those stupid sonic blasting siren things going off, which don't do anything. Except it just made it sound like dubstep or something, like some Skrillex song or something. So I was sitting there laughing. I kept yelling. I was like, turn that stuff off. Use your big boy voice. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden they launched 2 gas canisters right at my feet after I yelled that. And they go off, and then a flashbang goes off right in front of me. And I hit the ground, and I was like, wow, I can't see what's going on. So I stand up, and by the time I stand up and I open my eyes, I can't see past, the length of my arm. So I'm looking around, and I'm doing a technique that a buddy taught me that's been in journalism for a while. Like you bend down, and you spin around in circles to push the gas away from your body so you can get a second to see what's going on. When I did that, I couldn't find Josh or Jakari, so I just ran in the direction to try to get out of that area because they kept hitting that spot where I was standing. And I ran, unluckily, right into the line of the riot police coming at me. And all I have is a vest on with InfoWars and a press badge and then a camera in my hand. And the guy just shoots at me right in the side and drops me to my knees. And they come running over towards me, and 2 kids, 2 teenagers that live in the area, came over and grabbed me and pulled me out of the area by my arms before the cops got to me. And then, I was sitting there throwing up from all that gas I've been breathing in. And they were like, hey, man, you got to get out of here. They don't even care about us. They said they want to get you guys. So even the people that lived there knew that it was more of a danger to be a journalist than it was to be a civilian there, just a local living in that area. So these kids helped me hop and jump fences for about an hour through the woods as these MRAPs were driving down with guys hanging off the sides with machine guns, just acting like they were in Iraq. It was completely mind-blowing. So, I kept having flashbacks on and off. I kept, pinching myself, am I in combat? Am I having a bad dream? What the hell's going on? And then, to come to realize, hey, I'm in America. I'm in my own country, and I'm being treated like a freaking terrorist for doing my job.
Yeah, and I was watching it the whole time, and I was texting Jakari because I'm like, yeah, you're right, brother, and I want to make sure he was all right because these guys, he went missing, whatever. And, I just wanted to be there so bad, but, Alex couldn't have picked a better team to be there. You, Jakari, and, Kit Daniels, whatever, and Josh, I'm sorry, and, it's just it just shows the militarized police state, and they probably salivated at the point, oh, we got our MRAPs, we got our militarized equipment, and they were probably waiting, like you were saying earlier, they were probably just urging for that order to go in there and use that equipment, and just an excuse to use it and go bust people's heads and use this militarized equipment on it. It makes me sick to my stomach, and you as a veteran of all things, I mean, you sitting there and you're describing that you felt more of a threat than when you were in Iraq. I mean, that alone speaks miles. I mean, it's unbelievable. And, so when you were at the press conference, I mean, you were trying to get the question out, I think it was the police commissioner or whoever, and they refused. You're right there on CNN, right on all the media, because you're standing right in front of the line, which is the best thing to do, but they refused to answer your questions. You want to describe that?
Yeah, I was like, why are you refusing our constitutional rights, freedom of speech, freedom of press? I was like, why are you guys attacking us and then giving us these small free speech zones and basically herding us like cattle into these small pens away from where the story is? We're here to cover the story and what's going on. I'm not here to be one-sided on anything. I'm here to show both sides so people can make an informed decision about what was happening there. I'm not trying to, just look at it one way like a lot of the news stations do. I just wanted to let people know, all right, if you're pro-cop, then this happens, this will change your mind on some things. Maybe if you thought that everybody in Ferguson was a bunch of thugs acting, ridiculous, maybe once you got to see the people that we talked to, maybe that would change your mind. But it was a way for everyone to be informed on both sides to make an informed decision. And I kept asking questions. I was like, hey, and I'm standing right beside him. I snuck in there real early so I could be right on TV. That was my entire purpose, was to be there so he could hear a real question. Because some of the people in the crowd were asking, and not necessarily this question, but questions stupid of this nature, like, what's your favorite color? What are your favorite bedtime stories to read to your kids? Non-important questions about what was going on. And he would answer those stupid questions. Meanwhile, I'm saying, why are you attacking journalists? Why are you, literally beating us down? And then you're lying and going on mainstream media and saying you guys aren't attacking journalists. You're giving them the freedom to move around and tell the story, which was a complete and total bogus lie.
Oh, it is, and I've been in a number of press conferences, as you know, and they did the same thing. I mean, it's like they answer these softball questions, and most of the time they know the questions ahead of time. And when you get a person that comes up to say, hey, listen, what about the tweets about the bomb drills, just say Boston bomb, whatever, and they can't answer those questions. And they're like, wow, who's this guy? And they don't like people who could see and ask real questions. And that's what journalists are supposed to be. I mean, you're not supposed to be at a press conference just to be there. I mean, you're supposed to be at a press conference and say, hey, these are the real questions, I want the answers. And they can't answer these questions. And that's why they kept avoiding you. I mean, and you did the right thing. That's what I did. Because what people do is they follow like a bunch of sheep when you go to a press conference or whatever. All the media are together. They go along together and all that. And we don't do that. I mean, us at Infowars.com, we always have a beat on the mainstream media. That's why we're right there on the front lines at all the times. We don't follow along with the protocol. We follow along with what our guts and our intuition tell us to do. And that's what makes all of us at Infowars.com great reporters. And, my hat's off to you, man. And you did a hell of a job in Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that really pissed me off more than anything that entire trip, it was end of the first week. It was the end of the first week, and I'm sitting there. It was one of the nights that me and Jakari were being chased by MRAPs. We were running on the road literally for our lives, and it was raining. We were running and diving in mud, hiding in people's yards, and it was just crazy. Well, it finally gets to a point where I'm starting to get a signal, and Dew sends me a screenshot of what CNN's saying that CNN reported that everything was quiet tonight, that no tear gas was used or rubber bullets, only smoke to help, to help deter protesters from getting closer to the police line. And I saw that and I lost my mind. And I looked at my phone and I had a mile left to go because they literally chased us 5 miles out of Ferguson. So I'm running at a dead sprint that last mile, and I'm like, I'm going to find that CNN guy, and I'm going to call him out live on TV in front of everybody, and be like, how dare you lie to the American people and say that they weren't doing this? How can you do that? So I get all the way down there, and sure enough, they're in the little media pen, and I ran up and I was like, how dare you say that there's no tear gas? I was like, look at my eyes. The blood vessels are busted. I was like, people's eyes aren't blood red like that. You think that comes from smoke? And the guy's like, well, that's what I was told. I was like, well, why don't you go be a real journalist and go out there and cover the story instead of sitting here and let some stupid police officer liaison tell you what happened? Your job is to go find out what happens and tell people.
Oh, yeah,
and
it is.
Everybody was sitting there. They turned their cameras around. They turned their cameras around on me. They're like, oh, my God, this guy's crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm pissed off because you guys are blatantly lying to millions of people.
Oh, yeah, no tear gas was used. They treated the reporters with respect. And even though we seen live that it was totally the opposite. And in the mainstream media, they were getting attacked too, but they still, they still come out and lie about it. And it's unbelievable. It really is. It's
because they get paid off.
Yeah, and look at Amber Lyon and
they get
Ben
paid
Swan.
off to lie.
Amber Lyon and Ben Swan, we had them on Alex's show there to tell, hey, the real reporters that want to be real reporters, they can't get real truth out because it gets cut and everything else. And, but it just shows you it's all scripted. And when I was in Boston, right, after the last press conference, I went outside and bullhorned CNN, but I'm standing in the back. All the audience is in front. I'm in the back. I can see all the news medias. They're doing their little nightly shows. And I can see the damn teleprompters hidden under the cameras where the people couldn't see. And they're just reading off a bunch of zombies, reading from the scripts. And I'm there in that back there bullhorning people. So your mainstream media is reading off a bunch of teleprompters that are lying about everything. And I'm sure the same thing happened in Ferguson.
Well, yeah, it did. I mean, there was a one huge stage event that we saw happen where that white police officer pushed Don Lemon and said some racial slur, and it was in the middle of this big protest. This was on the side of the road, away from where there was real action going on, and they staged the entire event. And he used Don Lemon, Jake Tapper, whatever the hell his name is. They all used teleprompters. Al Jazeera, MSNBC, these guys all showed up with a pre-script that was written for them to say. They weren't even there during the day or the night before when things unfolded. He got there in the middle of the day when things would calm down for like an hour or two. They would go read off of a teleprompter and then go back into their little air-conditioned RVs or whatever that they have. People don't understand in InfoWars, we don't have teleprompters. We don't use stuff like that. You have to go out and actually do research and read about something, learn about the situation at hand, and then come up with an intelligent way to present it to people so they can understand it as we see it.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of work involved doing that. No teleprompter, so you got to come up with something to say, hey, all right, let me elaborate on a story, showing facts and related articles and everything else, and it's a lot of work. You're right, and I do it here, and I did it down in Texas there, and I miss it down there, man. I wish I could be back there, but you're right, and it's just the mainstream media. Then they have the nerve to make fun of us. I mean, look at MSNBC trashing me, trashing Alex Jones, Chris Hayes. He looks like Rachel Maddow. I think that's the same person.
No, I ran up and called him that. I said, hey, oh my God, Rachel, I've always wanted to get your autograph. Can I get your autograph, Rachel Maddow?
Oh, I would have loved to be there.
You know what he did? Him and his goons grabbed him and he ran him off. He ran off.
Oh, that's priceless, man. Did you get that on video?
No, because I was off by myself.
Oh, that would have been priceless, man. I would have loved to see that. But yeah, these people, and they sit there and attack us, but the whole time they're attacking us, they not once present one tidbit information to refute or debunk what we stated. You know what I mean? And that's the mind job right there.
Well, that's what people understand. When you go to a situation like Ferguson where there's a lot of intense things going on, the real journalists aren't to be seen anywhere because they're actually out there doing something. Where the big tents are set up, those are the fake guys, the MSM guys. They show up, someone hands them a script. I was talking to somebody from one of the shows, I think from CNN or something, and I was like, hey, so what do you think about what's been going on the past day? He's like, I don't know, I just got here. I need to go back to my trailer and read about everything and catch up, and then I'm going to do a report. I'm like, well, how are you going to do a report on this? You don't even have any clue. You haven't been here. You just said that. Well, someone's already taken care of it for me. They've already done all the legwork. I'm like, come on, man, that's a week. You need to get out and go do it yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not mentioning
anybody can look at a teleprompter and read it.
Yeah, exactly, and they don't do their own research or nothing. We had I'm not mentioning the person's name, but he was one of the reporters that came down for InfoWars, and he used to work for the mainstream media. Nothing bad against him, but he was like because he was used to being handed the story and just talking about it and not doing no editing, nothing. So it blew him away. Like, we got to do all this, and the job description of info was you got to wear more than one hat, and he wasn't used to that, so he kind of didn't like it too much. But and then after he learned, it's good to do that because I know the information myself now. So he learned, but that that separates real reporters from the mainstream media gurus, morons, because they don't. I mean, if they seen the teleprompter saying, "Oh, I'm such a tool, I'm an idiot," they'll read it off and not even think twice about what they're reading. Versus us, we're talking with passion, conviction, and we're trying to get the story out, and we're using our emotions and our real words to describe what's going on. And you're doing such a good job. But
yeah, because we care about what happens to these people. We care about America. These guys, all they care about is being a celebrity. Exactly. They want to do their little pictures and their autographs, and they want to raise their celebrity level to a higher status each time and get new trendy titles to go along with their name. Meanwhile, they could give a crap less, if someone that they knew under them got killed or anything like that. Most of these guys that work in these places, these big anchors, they probably don't even know the names of any of the people they work with because they think they're so above that. They're such an elite status above all of us. InfoWars, we all know each other. We all go out and celebrate each other's birthdays together, hang out. It's a family because the more we treat it like a family organization, the more it goes on to the viewers. Like, all right, these people care about what they're doing. This is real. This isn't BS. I might want to pay attention to that. There's emotion behind it. It's not just something given to them to read.
Yeah, because you realize we're all in the trench together, and we're not all yet competing against each other. We're working with each other. We help each other with reports and everything else. But, Joe, hang right there for a minute. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back. And you're listening to the Truth Radio Show on freedomizerradio.com. We'll be right back with Infowars.com reporter Joe Biggs. And we're back on TruthRadioShow.com, on FreedomizerRadio.com. And folks, during the break here, I was trying to get the article from Infowars. I don't know if Joe can remember it. It was some kind of a letter that went out to the police departments to teach them how to deal with the press and how to downplay things and actually make fun of things to divert the subject. I couldn't find the article, but we got Joe Biggs, Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com on the phone. And Joe, just this media onslaught of the disinformation that goes out and how they incredibly downplay things and important things they downplay and they lie about the numbers if they have to tell about the truth. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a complete and total PSYOP course that you have in the military. When you get higher ranking, they send you in these PSYOP courses to help navigate the media and steer them in the direction that you want them to go. So it's kind of the same concept, I think. It's basically a PSYOP thing where for them to learn the right questions or the right answers to kind of give you this vague answer as a journalist to where you kind of just either get pissed off and you're like, all right, I'm not going to go anywhere with this guy, or they just try to send you down a wrong path to get you out of the way to completely just screw you over. And that's kind of what they were doing. The interesting thing was, though, was that the article about that went viral, and it did, they took that course down quickly because I was going to try to sign up for that course and go up there and take it because I wanted to find out what was going to be in this. I wanted to see how deep it went and see how much it is like those military-type courses that they put, officers and NCOs through to deal with media.
Yeah, I wish I could find the article. I totally forgot to even went to look for that. But it just shows you that they are being taught how to deal with the press now. All the psychological operations, psyops they call it. And I studied a little police psychology myself, the basics of it, and military police too. And just to learn what they teach these officers, and it's insane. And they tell you got to be in control at all times. But when you have a reporter, that stands up for their rights, or just a general person that knows their rights and is assertive about it, they don't know what to do. They break down, and the next thing they're on their cell phone calling into the commanding officer. We got a guy that says this is right and, you know, challenging our laws, and they don't know what to do when somebody knows the stuff and is assertive about it. And, you know, in Ferguson, that was just a despicable display of what police are. And I got friends and family, you know, who are cops, and some friends who are police now. They joined the force to be, you know, to protect this, you know, the innocent. But yeah, we got a group of thugs who joined police departments because they used to get their asses kicked in high school that want to oppress over people. And you seen that in Ferguson. And I'm sure the real good cops that were in there, they're like, oh man, what the hell am I doing? But then again, you can't just say following orders, because that it just doesn't cut it. I mean, you have to make a stand. You know what I mean? And it's the Constitution. And Joe, you took a sworn oath on the Constitution yourself, and that's why I'm sure you backed down from any illegal orders yourself.
Oh yeah, tons. There were some things I'd have to look that butter bar in the face and be like, "Sir, you're out of your effing mind if you think I'm going to go do that." I was like, "You are a stupid, stupid child to think that I will go and follow that order. You're out of your mind." I would even look at some of my men and go like, "Don't listen to this guy. He is some punk kid fresh out of college who thinks he knows a thing or two about America, what it means to serve." I'm like, this guy just got out of school and he's only been in combat for 2 days, and he thinks he can lead and command men and then also be a representative for America. I was like, no.
Yeah,
not on my watch.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, same here. Not on our watch, man. And yeah, I wish I was down here in Ferguson. Now, do you got any new stories developing? I mean, any new projects going on?
Well, I can't say what I'm going to be doing, but just say that you'll have to be watching. John Bound and I are going to be doing a new stunt that should be pretty eye-opening. It'll have to do with NSA spying. That's one of the things I like to do, are stunts that are informative. When you watch it, it's shocking, and then it makes you really think like, oh my God, it's that easy to do. Like when I dressed up like the ISIS jihadi guy and walked across the Mexican border with a severed head. You know, a lot of people are like, oh my God, you know, but most people are like, you know what, that's scary because that can happen. You just showed me that it can happen. You weren't shot crossing the border. The Border Patrol didn't see you because the government says the border is secure, but you clearly just showed that it's not. You know, so this next stunt we're doing is going to be pretty intense, and I just encourage everybody to stay tuned and watch for that. It should be coming out here in the next day or so.
Awesome, yeah. John Bound, I love that guy. He's like a brother to me, man. And tell me he's the new head's groundskeeper. He'll know what I mean by that. But yeah, I'm sure they drilled you about the chinch bug stuff and everything else. Yeah, good people. But anyway, yeah, I got to try to get John back on the show. And I look forward to that report. And I seen that report where you going over the border and coming back. And yeah, you're right. It's wide open. I mean, you know, people just walk in and do what they want. And yeah, but they don't, you know, they'll harass us, U.S. citizens, at 100 miles away from the border at these unconstitutional checkpoints. But the Homeland Security will ship busloads of illegal immigrants into the country. And you were down there too as well, right, when that was going on?
Yeah, I've traveled from California to the last tip of Texas you can be across the Mexican border. I've been everywhere. I've flown over with single engine Cessnas over the borders, filmed, photographed, open spots, went out on foot, and I've spent 3 months going over that whole situation, from people crossing the borders, from ICE, you know, agents taking these guys and giving them bus tickets to just parts unknown. You know, listening to these Border Patrol agents saying that they know that 90% of these guys are never going to show up to their court dates. They're just going to be dumped out and just blend in and never get caught. And that they aren't trained to deal with the diseases these people bring over because they simply are only Border Patrol. You know, even an EMT is a small part in the medical field, but that's still not even enough training to deal with diseases and things like that these people bring over. So it's complete and total, you know, cluster down there, and it's just a mess. And it's sad to see that most people, they look at it's little babies and kids coming across, which it isn't. I saw very few in 3 months, very few kids. They were mostly teenagers with gangbanger tattoos all over them, adults, you know, people with priors. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it was InfoWars article today. It shows like 150,000 illegal immigrants in California, gang bangers. I mean, it's just going out of control. And, where the hell is our government to protect our borders, what they're supposed to be doing? And it's insane what's going on. I mean, you got these people running over the borders. I mean, putting these illegal immigrants in luxury hotels. When our returning veterans, these poor guys, they can't even get a job. And they get, you come home, you get put on the top of the terrorist watch list. Most of them end up homeless if they're disabled. And, but hell, let's put these illegal immigrants in luxury hotels, luxury apartments, on our dime, and our taxpayers' money has to flip the bill for the medical care. I mean, where are the priorities of America? Then you had the ALS challenge. I mean, that was completely sickening. I have nothing wrong against raising money for a charity, but only 7% of the proceeds actually went to the charity, if that. But white people are dumping water over their heads for ALS. What about the returning veterans? What about their families? I mean, they can't support their families no more because they're disabled. I mean, I went to outrage about that, but it just shows you where America's priorities. You know what I mean? And it's just outrageous. It really is. And as a veteran, your thoughts on that about the veterans not given what they really need, the benefits being hung over the head and everything else?
Well, some of the most informed people and most well-trained people are going to be veterans. Veterans know how to fight back. Veterans are trained in military tactics. Veterans know medical and first aid. Veterans are informed about what really goes on behind the curtain. So it makes a lot of sense for the government to completely let the VA system go out of whack, because veterans are terrorists to these guys. So why help them when your biggest enemy are them? So you let them, you make sure that their appointments get pushed back or canceled. So when they die off, that's less people that you have to worry about. Because I know more people who are involved in the truth movement after they don't even become that until they join the military. It's easier. I didn't wake up until I joined the military, until I saw how bad things really were. And I was like, oh my God, like I've been betrayed my entire life. Like this country that I thought it was is not that anymore. It's all a lie. And it makes you second-guess stuff. And I really had to sit back and go, like, I can't believe that I've lived this life for so long that, the government, I thought the government loved me and wanted to take care of me. And, America was really just awesome. And we weren't out doing all this evil stuff behind the scenes. And, really there's a lot of bad stuff going on. And it's just crazy. And the government knows that. When I was in the military, when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, you'd have so many people like, F. Bush, F. Obama, they were turning the flags upside down on their patches on the right shoulder to signal that we were a country in distress while we were in combat, because they wanted the world to see that we weren't happy with what was going on back home, and we weren't supportive of the wars.
Absolutely. That's why I do support veterans and, the military, the veterans and everything else, because you're right. My friend Dennis, who is a military police officer, he served in Bosnia in the first Iraqi war there. He's seen some combat, and at the time he was like, I'm going to go defend freedom and all that. Then not until he actually got there to find out, wait a minute, this ain't about freedom. This is about occupying another country and taking over for oil. And that's why Homeland Security, the MIAC report, Homeland Security's Operation Endgame and all them, they strategically list returning veterans as domestic terrorists, because it's the veterans who realize, wait a minute, we're the ones under attack domestically, not foreignly. I mean, like it's a domestic enemy, which is our own federal government. The same federal government that our founding fathers warned us. Eisenhower, in his farewell address, warned about the misplaced power of these military-industrial complex and all that. And all the writings are on the wall, the Federalist Papers, but people did not listen. And now we have an enemy that's domestic now. It's unbelievable. And, you as a veteran, you got to just be shaking your head, brother, to say, what the hell is this even about?
You got to think. You got to think a lot of people who really love the country, like join the military, back when I joined, 12 years ago, however long it's been. We joined the military when 9/11 happened because we saw something. We saw the planes hit the buildings. We're like, all right, man, I got to stand up. I got to do something. And then 2 wars sparked from that. And tons of people joined the military because they wanted to be patriots. They wanted to stand up for what they thought was a just thing. We've been attacked by these, evil outsiders, and then our government didn't know anything about this, and we're all in, shock and awe of what's going on. But then you got to think about this too. The more wars we have overseas, the more of these patriots you get that get shipped away from the country as well, who aren't able to fight back here. So things like that can happen. Like, more and more bad stuff is starting to happen here on the homeland than it has in a long time. You know,
I mean, it's out of control.
You know, this whole thing with Syria is about a regime change.
Exactly. If you notice, remember the year with the gas. They come to find out it was our own government that gave the rebels the gas, and just an attempt.
Yeah, that was September 10th, 2013.
Yup, and all the polls showed that even Democrats opposed going to war. Nobody bought it. So Obama had to create a new threat, i.e. ISIS, and now to win more support, say, hey, no, we need to go to Syria. And Obama is hell-bent on going to Syria, and he's not going to stop. And he's using fraud after fraud after fraud just to get public support for war. And, I mean, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Well, Syria's been on the list for over a decade. You know, I remember when I first joined, I was like, man, we're going to go to Syria at some point in time. I remember having conversations when I was a private, back when I was 20 years old, or 19 years old. I'm 30 now. And I was like, we're going to go to war with Syria. This is going to be where it's at. And everyone's like, nah, why would we go there? I'm like, think about it. They want to go to Iran eventually. That's where they want. They want Iran. Because Iran was the first ones to turn down the U.S. dollar for the petrodollar. The second ones to do it were Saddam Hussein in Iraq, which is why we went to Iraq instead of Afghanistan in the first place. When Saddam Hussein was supposedly the leaders of the attacks in Afghanistan, we went to Iraq instead because Saddam Hussein came out and said, we're not going to use the American dollar. We're not going to use the dollar anymore for our petrol. It's going to be the euro. So that's why we went there. It's all about oil. It's all about money. And then when countries don't want to cooperate, then it's all about regime change. Assad is someone that's not going to cooperate with the American government. So they need regime change. They want to go in there. They want to take Assad out by any means necessary. Last year, there was the hearts and minds with this whole chemical attack, which we found out was BS. This time, it's ISIS and Khorasan and all that crap. So now they're getting the hearts and minds once again behind these guys who are beheading people. And now the Americans are like, oh, my God, you know, all I see are beheadings. Yeah, let's just go to Syria. Let's do it. Yeah, that sounds good. And then we put in a Western puppet who's willing to play ball, and we take Syria over. And that's one step closer to Iran. But the thing is, well, that's what happened like when we led the American the coup that happened in Honduras. We led that coup. It was American-funded and backed. We put in a new regime there who mutilates and kills all of its people. When we put these people in, all they do is destroy it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you put the pawn in place and you utilize it from there, and then those people who don't pay tribute, because this is a global mafia. The U.S. government, the UN, and all that. It's a giant global mafia. If you don't pay your tribute, guess what? We're coming in your country and we're going to take it over. I mean, we've seen this all the time. We put Fidel Castro in power, Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, all these people we put in power, gave money, weapons, everything they needed. Then we come in as the saviors after this regime, destroys this country, and it's like you put your enemy in power, then you take over. I mean, it's ancient old psychology what they do, the globalists, and I mean it's nuts. And who would believe? I mean, when
this is the thing that people don't. One of the things that people understand is we put these guys in power, but then what people forget to realize is it's just like when you're a parent, and you have a kid. You can only control what your kid does, your child does, for so long until he grows up into his own and decides to make his own decisions. We put these people into power in these different countries, and then eventually they get power hungry. They get greedy just like everyone else in the world does. They get that power, they get that money, they get that status and that symbol amongst everyone, and they begin to get cocky and then run off and do their own things, just like with Al-Qaeda. We funded those guys back in the day. They've gotten so big now that they are like, you know what, you guys helped us out, but we want to do our own thing now.
Absolutely.
That's what people don't get. They think that,
Hey, can I keep you on for 1 minute? So you got to go to a break. If you could hang on there for 1 more minute. And this is...
yeah.
All right, thank you, Joe. And this is Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com. And we'll be right back on the Truth Radio Show on FreedomizerRadio.com. And we're back on the Truth Radio Show on FreedomizerRadio.com, and what a great network. And that last commercial, it's just like, when you hear Alex yelling and stuff, it just fires you up. And even getting to know Alex and all that, every time he goes into this rant, it just like motivates you, and everybody in the office as well. And I'm sure Joe could actually elaborate on that. When Alex goes into his rant, I mean, it just makes you want to jump out of your seat and go do something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's motivational and inspirational.
Exactly. And I think we had a couple calls on the line. Do you mind answering a couple questions?
Sure. I got some time, a little bit. Yeah.
All right, good. And 336, I don't know if you want to ask a question here. You're on the air. Hi, caller, 336.
Yes, please.
Would you like to ask Joe Biggs a
Yes,
question?
are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Biggs, can you speak, me being in the Marine Corps, did some special forces work in intelligence, in force recon, and in gathering intelligence. And I'm a war vet. And I've been home for a while. And the thing is that a lot of things that you're saying is true. I just want to see if you can tie the last few points together about the money, about the multi-pronged system of how they get people to be scared using fear as a tactic, along with the Hegelian dialectic principle mixed with the shock doctrine, and what that does in regards to people having free range instead of freedom. Could you speak on those things?
Well,
and the last thing I would like to say, I'm not a I don't like to be around men who hoop and holler, who are emotional, because a man who cannot control his emotional content is not a man at all. So, I'm not one. That's all I do is train, study, read, train, read, and study. So, and that's all I want to say, and I just want to hear you speak on things that I just had you. Thank you, sir.
As far as, what I see, what our country uses psychologically, tactically, and I said this weeks ago, I said there's going to be a big humanitarian crisis that's going to pop up. They're going to want hearts and minds to back it. With Syria, that's the only way to get the people, the American people, first of all, usually to get them really behind something is to feel that those little strings tugging at their heart. Well, when that doesn't really work, then they have to go into the fear mode. So they've got this ISIS group. They start cutting off journalists' heads. That is another way to get the hearts and minds as well behind it. So now they see these guys, their heads are being chopped off. They don't look at any other parts of the story. All they see is that video of that guy standing there and cutting someone's head, and the human emotion part kicks over. And once they see that, that's what they want. They want to see people not look at things rationally from an entire, they want you to see one piece of a puzzle and not put the whole picture together. So they see that, and now they have the people to back it against. So now they've got the fear of people. Now people are really scared of ISIS, but they also have that heart and mind part where they see the people are getting their heads chopped off, and that's the easiest way to get us into these countries so they can go and do the stuff that they want to do, which is topple the Assad regime, because he's not willing to play ball with us, because at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's all about getting our players in position to help play ball so we can gain more and more control and have more money, because at the end of the day, that's all they care about is money and power.
And thank you, caller, area code 336. And we got time for one more. Got area code 401 if you want to make a comment. You're on the air, 401.
Hey.
Oh, is this Kevin? How you doing, man? Yep, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Oh, great.
Hey, how's it going?
So do you want to make a comment or ask Joe Biggs a question?
Yeah. How you doing, Joe?
Good, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I was watching Fox News today, and they had the president of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, there, and he was speaking to the UN, United Nations, and he said that, going after ISIS is obviously a good thing or whatever, and, we got to eliminate them. He goes, but if we eliminate ISIS, and we leave Iran to get a nuke, he said that's like winning the battle and losing the war. Now,
yeah, I've been saying this for years. Iran is the end game. That's where they want. That is where you will see us in 10 years. There will be military action in Iran. That is what our government has wanted from the whole beginning since before 9/11.
Yeah. So here's the thing because I'm with you guys. I'm pretty much, I want peace. Obviously it's a pipe dream. I understand that. But, I don't want to go to war with anybody, but with them trying to get a nuclear weapon, I don't know if they really are. Now, it seems like they kind of are. I don't know what the story is, if it's true, fake, whatever. But if they really are, I think we don't want them to have a nuke, right? But we also don't want any more wars. We want to bring our guys home, So what?
Well, you got to think about this though. It's like saying that you're kind of pro-gun, you're kind of pro-gun, but you're not. Like, that's saying that we should only let police officers have guns and we shouldn't let civilians have guns. I'm not saying that it's good for them to have a nuke, but you got to think if they have a nuke and we have the largest supply, you really think they're going to sacrifice their entire country by possibly using that against us when we have a giant, large stockpile in Savannah, Georgia, at the Savannah River site? We have more nuclear capabilities than Iran does. So if they get one nuke, honestly, there's no way that they would be able to do anything with it.
Exactly. It's like having one bullet in a gun versus a guy with a gun with 10 bullets,
we've got the most advanced nuclear submarines in the water at all times. We've got weapons capabilities. That's why I think it's a joke that we haven't already taken out ISIS. Because when ISIS first left from Syria and they made the move into, Erbil into northeastern Iraq, when they made that move into Syria and they took all the Humvees, the M777 Alpha 2 howitzers, mortars, all this different stuff, missiles, all this crap, they took all the stuff that was left over by the Americans and we gave over to the Iraqi armies. They left in a linear formation out of that northern part of Iraq and started traveling down in a convoy that was bumper to bumper. That goes against all military tactics. You never do that. So this is like 2-mile long convoy, and we could have done a couple coordinated airstrikes with zero collateral damage and taken out all of ISIS months ago, whereas we didn't do that, but we knew it happened. We watched it happen. Now they want to go attack ISIS when they're in Syria. Why? It's a beard. ISIS and Khorasan, they don't give a crap about those guys. This is all so we can take down other targets in Syria to take over Assad. Once we get Syria, the next spot will be Tehran.
Exactly, and to elaborate on that, Infowars.com today reports Saudi prince, he says war against ISIS is really about removing Assad, in which he's right, and exactly what Joe Biggs is saying. It's nothing more about than removing Assad from power to take over Syria, and yes, the end game is Iran. They know Iran's the equalizer, so that's why they're occupying all the countries around Iran, so they could have all the strategic offenses they can need to move into Iran and conquer it. I mean, this is, and it goes to biblical proportions with this, with the Babylon and everything else. We don't have time to get into that, but I mean, Joe Biggs is right on the money with that when he says Iran is the end game. I mean, how long has Alex, back in the 90s, Alex was saying they're going to Iran. Back in the 90s, he was calling for this. And we've been calling about they're going to go to Africa as well because of the resources. And you're seeing it happen, folks, right here in front of your faces, divide and conquer. We are moving strategically to every country to occupy them, to take over the world, literally, to take over the world's resources. And Joe Biggs, I want to thank you.
And how do we get troops? Okay. Well, I'll just say one more thing. How do we get troops in Africa? How do we get troops in Africa under another Hearts and Mind, Ebola smokescreen? I guarantee you this Ebola situation is nowhere near as bad as the media portrays it to be. It's another way to get troops in, strategically place them so they can move from Egypt into Yemen, things like that. Yemen's a big terrorist hub, all this stuff. We can get our guys closer. It's another hub like South Korea, like Iraq's going to be forever, like we're going to leave 9,800 troops in Afghanistan still. It's another spot for us to occupy to keep a presence and watch over what's going on.
Well, look at the article we're sending for us, too. Obama said he was going to go to Africa to help out, but he knows how he slyly slides in there. Oh, we're sending 40,000 troops, too. military power. What would you need military power for to combat a medical thing like a virus? And it shows you, hey, we're just gonna go occupy the country. That's what we're gonna do. Well, Africa.
Well, he's gonna defeat Ebola by arming the moderate Ebola.
Unbelievable, and it just shows you it's out of control, this whole new world order, man. And brother, I want to thank you for your time. I want to get you back on again soon. Hopefully I'll meet you down in Austin sometime. I want to come down there shortly and just meet you and everybody else, Leanne and all them. But thank you. And if you want to advertise any of your websites you got going,
just follow me on Twitter at Rambo Biggs, or my Facebook page, Joe Rambo Biggs. I accept everybody. I don't care. I'm transparent. If you want to hit me up, contact me, ask me a question, I'm there. I answer everybody. So thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. And I look forward to working with you on some of the location reports and all that. That'd be great. Rambo and Bionic and the tag team that gets charity. But Joe, thank you for your time, brother. God bless you, and I'll be in touch.
All right, thank you.
And that was Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com, a great reporter. And I can't say enough about the Infowars staff. I mean, it's just a pleasure working with them, and it's just amazing, really is. And we're going to try to get the rest of the guys on eventually. Darren McBreen, John Bound, which we had them on, Jakari, and I want to get Leon on and drag Alex's butt on here. I know he's busy, but we're going to drag his butt on here sometime. And Rob Dew. I mean, Rob Dew is like, besides Alex doing the most work, Rob Dew's like right behind him. I mean, without Rob Dew, the nightly news wouldn't even run. I mean, it takes everybody all together. Everybody's a team. I mean, it's not just one person, but these guys have a load of work on their shoulders, and I mean, it's a burden. Really, I mean, like, because you got to realize, we're reaching out to everybody across the world. You got to bring them truth against this tyranny, and it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, especially you got to know, hey, I got to tell the truth, and I got to check all my facts. Cross my T's, dot on my I's, cross my low, J's, whatever, and you have to be on the ball. Operation Cover Your Ass, as Rob Dew likes to put it that way. You got to have your facts in order before you put something out globally. And Infowars reaches over 8 and 9 million people, 35 million people worldwide, I believe it is, if not more. I mean, it's a great organization, and I'm just privileged and excited to even be part of Infowars and all that. And hopefully we could do more stuff with Infowars and all that. Just we want to expand rapidly, and again, it's not just there's no competing here in this in alternative media. There's just a bunch of us who care about liberty and freedom that want to get the truth out, and that's all it's about. It's not about making millions of dollars. It's not about being popular. It's about getting the truth out, period. And that's what it's all about. And we've got a few more minutes left in the show here, and I want to thank Joe Rambo Biggs from Infowars.com for coming on, and thank the callers, thank James Stalin Jr. who came on, and we got Richard Wayne Garganta who's coming on in 2 weeks to talk about evolution versus creation. That's got to be a very controversial show, I'm telling you that right now. And I encourage listeners, I mean, if you believe in evolution, you believe in creation, call in and talk to Richard. Ask the questions, we'll have a civilized debate. There's no demeaning of people, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff we want to get out, and our future programming, we're going to bring in news, we're going to bring in in-depth things, down the rabbit hole. The best way I could put it was we're going to go deep into the rabbit hole, deeper than probably most programs have out there. And we're going to, when they say how deep does a rabbit hole go, beyond your imagination. I mean, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, they couldn't even make stuff up like this. Truth is definitely stranger than fiction. And I want to do one more quote of the week I did earlier, but another one I want to do by Henry Kissinger, one of the kingpins of the New World Order. He states right out blatantly, military men are just dumb, stupid animals to be used as pawns in foreign policy. That says alone right there what the globalists think of you. So before you're thinking about going to listen to the military folks, I mean, think about what the elite think about you. Period. And that about wraps up the show here on TruthRadioShow.com on Freedomizer Radio, and we'll be back next week, God willing, and we're going to try to move to multiple days a week. And again, we got a donation page, a secured PayPal account on TruthRadioShow.com. donation, a contribution of $25 or more will get you the DVD Fluoride, the Eugenics Plot Exposed. It's high quality DVD. It's an hour and a half long with all documentation, facts, historical facts, interviews with myself, John Bound, Alex Jones, and everybody else about sodium fluoride. And that's about it. And this is Dan Bidondi for TruthRadioShow.com on FreedomizerRadio.com.